Welcome to our regular City Council meeting, our RDA meeting, and the Housing Authority meeting for Tuesday, June the 26th, 2018 at 6:05. Invocation, please.
Blessed Father, we thank you for allowing us to be here tonight, and we look out in the audience and we see all the young people who are graduating and going on to the next step in their life, and we thank you for them. We thank you that the city is able to give them money to help them through their journey. And Father, we just hope that they remember Hawaiian Gardens and come back and work here or be a part of the community in some way. Wherever they go, we just ask a special blessing on them, Father. And Father, tonight we have a heavy heart toward one of the people in our audience whose brother-in-law was hit by a truck and he's in a coma. And Father, we just ask a special blessing on that family because it's such a trauma to go through, and she's one of our residents here, and we just ask a special blessing on her and the entire family. And a special blessing on the family of the chief in Long Beach who was killed yesterday, Father. Captain, who was just doing his job, and it's horrible. It's horrible when our first responders put their lives on the line for us, and we just kind of take it for granted that they're there for us. And we just want a special blessing on the family and on the friends and on the fire station. And Father, we just thank you for the council that's here tonight. We just ask that everything that's done is pleasing to you, and we ask that you just keep your watch care over us and your loving arms around us. And we praise you in thy holy name. Amen.
Our flag salute will be done by our Princess Tyler Williams and our Queen Evangelina Romero.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, in liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. We have some presentations and proclamations for our recognition of the Mayor's Youth Walk of Achievement Scholarship Program. Oh, roll call. Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
Director Bach.
Here.
Director Mahar.
Here.
Councilmember Director Tremble.
Here.
Councilmember Director Rios.
Present.
Councilmember Director Maravilla.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chair Member Bruce.
Here.
Mayor Chair Member Rodriguez.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Recognition of the Mayor's Youth Walk of Achievement Scholarship Program participants for 2018. And also we have some other scholarships that were also donated during our annual scholarship awards here in the city of Hawaiian Gardens. So will the council please meet us down.
Congratulations. Congratulations to all of the scholarship winners. It was a pleasure seeing all of you at the scholarship dinner a couple of weekends ago. My name is Mayra Maravilla, and I'm here to present the recipients for $500. First up, we have Leonardo Garcia. Next, for $500, we have Eddie Guzman.
I have the privilege of introducing the $1,500 recipient, so Nazareo David Gonzalez. And Julia Muchler. Right here. Okay, thank you.
I will be naming the recipients of a $1,000 scholarship. Our first $1,000 scholarship goes to Marlena Fernandez. Fabian Jacinto. Alexander Guendino.
And the recipients of the $2,000 scholarships are Fabian Perez, Ketrin Joaquin. Congratulations. And Annalise Sepulveda. Congratulations.
Our next recipients were awarded on the street of Carson as the Mayor's Achievement Scholarship. And they have a plaque there now with their names and the year, and we're very proud of them. And this one is here for $3,000. So they... Annabelle Sanchez. Congratulations. Ricardo Anaya. Is Valerie Acosta here? No? Okay, the other one was Valerie Acosta. So we'll have pictures taken. Yeah, okay. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and continue on with the meeting. Okay, so. We will have oral communications. This is the time reserved for members of the public wishing to speak on items on and not on the agenda, except for public hearing items. This period will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Maximum time allocated is 15 minutes. Upon conclusion of oral communication, the city council or city staff, at the direction of the mayor, may respond to any questions or statements that were presented by members of the public. The city council is prohibited by law from discussing or taking any action on items presented during oral communications that are not on the agenda. Do we have any oh, yes, we have one already.
All right. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Ronaldo Rodriguez, Mayor Pro Tem Barry Bruce, and council members. My name is Jesse Alvarado. I live on Ibex Avenue. I noticed on the agenda where you're requesting reorganization of the city council and the appointment of mayor and chair. Mr. Ronaldo has been a big contribution to our city by supporting schools, by providing school grants. He supports our city nonprofits. One of them is Familias Unidas from a sister city, San Pedro, Michoacán. He just recently supported a program called Las Palomas, where retired parents from Mexico came from Mexico to visit their sons and daughters that they hadn't seen for many years, by providing transportation from the airport to our city and providing a hall for their celebration. He's always supporting our city functions by being present. He has a high level of commitment to do what's best for our community. One of the things that stands out for me from our mayor is his level of integrity and ethics. He's always committed to follow the laws and regulations to keep our city out of trouble. I would like to know, what has Mr. Rodriguez done so wrong to our city that deserves to be removed from his position as a mayor? So please answer my question. My name is Jesse Alvarado. Have a great evening.
Thank you. No, after we close the oral communications, they can answer.
Hello, everybody. My name is Antonio Gutierrez. I'm a lifelong resident here from Hawaiian Gardens, and I attended a meeting today, and from what I heard, it would be best if we allowed a one-year extension so we get all our facts together. And I know, with my understanding, that Bruce is no longer going to be not reelected, but anyways, he's not going up for reelection. He's already served 2 terms, as far as I understand. So I would really, really recommend that we give that one-year extension so we could weigh our pros and cons. And like to keep things plain and simple, everybody. And the only other option that I could see is a recall on one of you. That's it. Not as a threat, but we have to serve our community, our residents, not our pockets. Amen.
Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, my name is Isabel Delgadillo. I live at 22201 Clark Avenue. I want to speak on 2 items. The first one is the reorganization of the council. What is the purpose to have Mayor Rodriguez removed from his position? He is the most dedicated member on this council. You see him at every city function. You see him. He talks to residents in this community. He attends a lot of meetings outside of the city. He supported many of you council members when you were running for city council. I find it disrespectful, very disrespectful, that this council wants to remove him from his position as mayor. I think that some of you must have some hidden agendas, that some of you would go so low to do this to a fellow council member. I urge you not to do this, because if it happens, I assure you that repercussions may happen or will happen based on your decisions. I also want to talk about the trash. Now, the new trash company that you are want to elect, you had a consultant. You paid a consultant, I believe $100,000 to research these trash companies. And from that research, the consultant recommended that this trash company was the lowest rating trash company from all three choices. I don't understand why we would go for the lowest rating company. So I feel that you should have listened to the consultant and do your actions and choose the right company for our city, not choose the lowest one. I don't know what the purpose of choosing the lowest rating one. Like I said, it might be a hidden agenda somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Monica Rodriguez. I've been a resident for the city of Hawaiian Gardens for about 20 years now. I've also worked for Leeward Pool for 10 years. I've been a seasonal lifeguard, and for 3 years I've been assistant pool manager. Now I just want to share what had happened this past week while the new trash company were delivering the trash cans. They proceeded, as they were passing Leeward Pool, they were shouting out at the pool, telling the patrons of the pool to get out of the water. Now this confused the people at the patrons in the water, along with my lifeguard that was sitting on the lifeguard stand. She didn't know if there was a true emergency or not, but I found this really disrespectful and irresponsible for them to be shouting while they're trying to do their job. Now, I have concerns of when they do decide to pick up their trash cans, are they also going to have this behavior? And I really hope that you guys make your decisions. I felt like they were unprofessional, and I hope you make a good decision for the city and not for yourselves. Think about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Afternoon, council members. My name is Adan Alvarez. I'm Communications Director of Teamsters Local 396, and I'm here tonight to warn you about the proposed contract that you have before you with Commercial Waste Services. Aside from all the damning evidence that you have already heard about why commercial waste is a very risky option for the city, I want to highlight another aspect that you haven't really heard much about: worker safety. You guys wisely hired an independent consultant to review all of the proposals for this 10-year waste contract, which included a section on employee safety, training and equipment safety records. This section specifically assessed whether or not a company provided training and health and safety programs and whether a company utilized established best practices. According to the independent consultant that you all contracted, CWS scored dead last in employee safety. I quote directly from the consultant's report: commercial waste scored poorly for lack of a comprehensive safety plan, zero information on hazardous waste, and zero safety reports. Let me read that again. Commercial waste scored poorly for lack of comprehensive safety plan, zero information on hazardous waste, and zero safety reports. As elected officials, how can you justify giving a 10-year contract to a company that values safety like this? You may not be aware, but the waste and recycling industry is the 5th most dangerous industry in the nation. Waste workers are more at risk of dying on the job than a miner, a construction worker, and even a firefighter. I know firsthand what this looks like, as I've been working with waste workers for a number of years now and fighting to help workers improve their local working conditions so that they can go home to their families at the end of the day. Signing a contract with CWS would be a gigantic step backwards for waste workers. But let me tell you one last reason why their lack of safety trainings is important. If waste workers are not safe on the job, they aren't able to do their job effectively. If they can't do their job effectively, you will have waste piling up on the streets, poor waste diversion numbers, and large potential for labor discord, which at the end of the day impacts your residents' health and safety. So please do the right thing and say no to CWS and rebid the contract. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Rodriguez and members of the council. My name is Robert Notoff, and I'm the director of the Waste and Recycling Project for Lane. And our mission is to raise standards within the waste and recycling industry across the region, which includes creating environmentally sustainable practices and also raising conditions for the very workers who touch and handle our waste. Strong waste haulers are key to making sure that we can succeed in our efforts. And let me also be clear before I dive into my comments that I do not represent a single hauler here. Unfortunately, I am here tonight to talk about and raise strong opposition to the deal in front of you with Commercial Waste Services. There are too many reasons to list in 3 minutes, so I'm just going to dive into 3 main points. So bear with me here. First of all, the proposal, when you talk about the transition, we're talking about doing this in 5 days. That's extremely ambitious for anybody, and if there are missed trash pickups, as the previous speaker just said, you have trash piling up on the street that has public health concerns, it attracts rats, cockroaches, and a number of other diseases, and your residents deserve better than that. But also let me break it down to you like this. For a successful transition, drivers need to learn new routes. People have to get brand new bins. Drivers have to learn new pickup dates, locations, access codes, and there's a number of things that can fall through the cracks. And again, who's left holding the bag at the end of the day? Your residents. Second, the organics plan is extremely troublesome. The state of California passed AB 1826, which I'm sure you're all very well aware of at this point, which mandates that as of January 1st of next year, any commercial property, that means a multifamily business with 4 or more units, or any business that disposes of 4 or more cubic yards has to have mandated organics collection pickup. Now, Commercial Waste Services said that they will do this by taking this commercial waste over to Oak Tree Worm Farms, which can only process 15 tons a day. And that may sound like a lot to you and me, but 15 tons is nothing when it comes to the waste service. Organic material is heavier than most everyday waste, and it's not even clear if 15 tons is set aside specifically for Hawaiian Gardens, which has the casinos and a number of other places. So they may not even have the ability to process what they're saying. So I think it needs to be further fleshed out. And finally, from the standpoint of good governance, how can you justify giving the contract to somebody who scored 142 out of 200? That's 71%, and I know we have a teacher up here. That's a C- average. So you had somebody who scored a B+, a B, 177, 170, and then 142, way down here. And you all picked 142. Something stinks here, and I don't know, and it's definitely not the trash. So I recommend that you all rebid this, and let's get to the bottom of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Like everyone else, I believe respectfully that our city council has made a bad decision on this trash pickup. That being said, I have, since our last meeting, been in contact with both the representative from the new hauler and the old hauler. In both cases, they were responsive. Our new hauler actually did get the new dumpsters out to our condominium association. One was put in an area that wasn't a good place to put it. It was blocking parking. They did, within 4 hours of me calling, get somebody out to relocate it for us on a temporary basis. I don't think you're doing right by not listening to your consultants. That's going to apparently remain to be seen because everything is going along. We have dumpsters and trash cans are being delivered. Franchella and Hake have been very responsive to me. The other thing I'd like to mention is the infighting that I'm seeing here with this reorganization is beneath all of you. I have seen all of you work together. I have seen you disagree with each other. And I think in this particular case, it is beneath you. And I would appreciate you backing down from this and facing it, that you guys have a disagreement. Deal with it. Don't play this game. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jen.
My name is Agustin Vega. I live in 12336 East 221st Street. And my thing about this, I have two issues that I'm concerned about tonight. The first one is this trash company deal that it went through, and you guys can vote on it. Yet we got already the new trash cans. Like I told you last meeting, I wasn't aware of this. The community wasn't informed about this. I don't know why City Council took it upon themselves, or even the five of you, whoever voted yes or no. I'm saying you guys decided for the community. This should have been put, forget about the consultant that got paid $100,000, I assume. Why didn't you guys put it to the communities? Based on rating, cheaper? They say it's based on cheaper price? For how long? How many trash haulers bid on the contract? Maybe next year they say, oh, we're going to raise your rates. One more thing, I know the city is doing a great job about graffiti removal. They are cleaning up. That's really good. But what about the bulky items that are left on our city? My wife and me, we walk through the city every week, and we see sometimes mattresses, couches on the streets for days. Nobody bothers to pick them up. Whose responsibility is it? Trash company, which is not commercial, it's the old republic, but the city? I mean, something has to be done about that. Not let the trash sit there on the streets for a week, 2 weeks, without being removed. Somebody has to be responsible for that. People maybe just throw them there, not the residents, not the houses involved, but I think that's something that you guys should consider on that. The second item would be the lien on residents. The city is putting liens on properties. I received a notice of putting a lien on my property. It was the wrong address. I didn't even have the address, but yet the letter was sent to my house. Nobody checks and makes sure this is the correct address. And why is people putting liens on properties for $50? I mean, this has to be a better way to handle this instead of letting trash companies put liens on properties. Why isn't the water company put liens on properties? Why isn't the electric companies? Only trash companies are allowed. Yet they get the city involved. Why is the city involved in putting lien on properties? I think it should be if you're going to deal with the company, make a better contract so you don't have to put liens on properties. Thank you very much.
My name is Frances Rodriguez, and I live on Britton Street. I don't understand what the purpose is for this reorganization when it's going to be reorganized in 5 months. There's going to be a new election coming up. Why do you need to do this? So I'd like that explained to me when you get a chance. And saving $12 for the trash is that's not enough money to make a difference. We want quality work. We don't want shoddy work.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Rodriguez and City Council. It is I, your librarian from the Hawaiian Gardens Library, here to bring you some news about the library. One of the things is that we've changed our logo, and this is our new motto. It's for those who aren't afraid to explore. And I hope you are all adventurous and make your way to the library because the summer reading program is in full swing. And all ages can sign up. Kids, teens, adults, even little tiny bitty people that people read to. They can come in the library and sign up and earn prizes and books. So let me tell you about what's happening at the library this week. On Wednesday at 4 o'clock, we have music with Mr. Marcus. And then at 6 o'clock, we have a second program. It's Shizzy's story, the story of a young lady who was interned in the Japanese imprisonment camps during World War II. It's a kind of timely piece for us to be having at the library, and that takes place at 6 o'clock. Between the two programs, we will have light snacks for those interested in attending both. On Friday, we will make Hopi feathered sun god masks, and that will happen at 1 o'clock. On Saturday, we are making Love is Love rainbow paintings, and that is happening at 2:30. I hope you can all join us. That is specifically a teen event, but everyone is welcome. And finally, we are starting a new workshop next week. It's a 4-week workshop happening every Saturday in July. It's for ages 7 to 15, and it is an electronic textiles workshop. We will be making superhero masks, sock puppets that talk, and something that knows you're coming. I hope you can come down to the library and sign up and join us. That's every Saturday morning in July from 10 to 12 up in the meeting room. We will be closed July 4th, but we will have our regular hours Tuesday, July 3rd, and then the rest of the week. So please come join us and see us at the library. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lucy, ¿me puede interpretar, por favor? Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Nidia Mateos. Yo vengo a hablar acerca de el tema que está en la agenda, de por qué quieren reorganizar nuevamente el City Council. ¿Por qué? Porque Mr. Reinaldo no le quiere cumplir el berrinchito al señor Bruce. ¿Nada más por eso? Ahora, ¿por qué están buscando una compañía para nuestra ciudad, la más barata, cuando él para su negocio quiere lo más caro? Nuestra ciudad merece lo mejor y por eso hay dinero. Si no hubiera, bueno, pero hay, para que nuestra ciudad siempre tenga lo mejor. Y por eso los residentes trabajamos mucho por nuestra comunidad, para que luzca hermosa, no para que luzca llena de basura, ni que tengan lo más barato. Gracias.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Her name is Nidia Mateos. She's a resident here in the beautiful city of Hawaiian Gardens, and she wanted to speak on the topic on your agenda regarding reorganization. She made a statement regarding that why was this on there, if it was because of Mr. Bruce, that why was the council now looking for the least expensive contract when in fact Mr. Bruce looks for more expensive things for his business. Thank you for his business. The city of Hawaiian Gardens deserves the best, and the residents in the community work very hard to always try to have the best, and for the city to look beautiful and not to look like trash, and that we should not be getting the least expensive.
Good evening. My name is Roselia Gomez. I would like to ask the council of the city council if they spent $100,000 to a consultant to prepare, to send out and analyze all proposals, and which CR&R scored the highest, Republic Services scored second, and CWS scored last. Now, the rates that CWS proposed are so low that they will be losing money. So how are they going to make up for this deficit? Look into the future and don't be surprised to see rates go up frequently. Something is wrong with this picture. You are up there to act on behalf of the residents who voted for you. So act like you care about us. The other two disposal services are better picks and more realistic. So I'm asking you to do the right thing. I would like to suggest that maybe we hold off for a year. Maybe within that year, we can investigate this matter and maybe come up with a better solution. Or who knows, maybe we'll still end up with this company. I have no idea. But I would also like to add this. I recently heard this or saw this, basically. I saw a lot of construction going on Norwalk boulevard on a church. If someone's church just recently got $100,000 worth of remodeling on his church and the donors want to stay anonymous, does this raise a flag, a red flag? Okay? On the reorganization of council, I would like to say that even if Rinaldo and I haven't seen eye to eye, this does not sit well with me. He's got 4 months to go on council and is retiring. What is the purpose for taking him off as mayor now? I'll tell you why. We've got 2 members, a third one I'm not too sure of, that's doing this, and because he went against them on this disposal service. And if you go against Barry, expect to get yelled at and criticized. Hank, I'm sorry to say this, but you're just a puppet, and we'll do whatever Barry tells you to do. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 that are doing this is morally wrong. It's not right, okay? And don't be surprised, I've called several people up there puppets before, so it's not new, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Robert Prida. I live at 8150 Winston Drive in Long Beach. Whoops. Okay. Now, I read this script all day today, and I'm not going to go through A, B, and C, and D, but from number one thing, if it's not broken, why fix it? If you got a good trash company doing, let's do it. Well, now as far as Rodriguez goes, he's the man. There's a lot of people back out there and outside. But you guys forget, when you were there and you need him, he was right there. You forgot that. You forgot the important thing of being a councilman as a friend. You can disagree to agree, you can agree to disagree, but you don't forget your friend as a councilman. I don't care what you say or what you do, but that's the bottom line. Now, number 2, as far as the trash goes, why don't we just continue it from another time and go on with the business? Because we're going to be here all night. And I'm sure a lot of you people like to. And I know the other 3 would. But why don't you just get together, figure out what you're going to do, and let's all get your paperwork together and start all over and get the right answer. Keep the trash company and due respect to the other one. The door swings both ways.
Thank you, Bob.
Good evening, Senate Council, Mayor. My name is Jesus Mendoza. I live at 22022 St. Avenue. I just got 3 things to say. Usually, I guess I'll say the negative things first and then the positive. On this trash, obviously, the biggest difference is once, especially the Teamsters that came up here and talked on 396. I think you guys should consider that. It makes a big difference. We don't want it to be a right to work state. You guys should consider. I think some of you guys that are up there have been part of the unions. You should think about that. There's a high percentage of residents in the city that belong to unions, including 396. We have our AFSCME here. So the teachers union, we have the sheriffs, the fire. So I think you guys should consider because it sends the wrong message. The second point on this reorganization, like several speakers I spoke before, I think everyone has a right to have their differences, but I think it's very disrespectful what you guys are trying to do. You guys were once friends. You don't have to see eye to eye, but I think you guys represent the city and the residents first and foremost, not individually. And even though the differences are there and you guys could say bad things about each other, but remember, you guys represent the city and the residents. I think that those are personal stuff that, I think as adults, you guys should deal with, not get people involved. And I think you guys should handle it professionally. I think you guys are all capable of doing that. And the last thing, I said I was going to say 2 negatives and then 1 positive. I wasn't here at the last council meeting, and I wanted to bring up, so I'll bring it up now. You know, we should always have a lot of positive stuff in the city. You know, whether it's on the newspaper, on the website, you know, any kind of social media. And I just want to make an announcement that I think in 2018 we had so many graduates from, you know, community college, from Cal States, you know, getting their bachelor's, getting their master's, and even further. That's what we should be recognizing. That's what we should be bringing up here in the meeting, so that way people could see what you guys provide, just like today at the scholarships. So that way you guys can see all the positive things that you guys are doing and stay away from all this negative stuff. Like I said, the reorganization, you guys are better than that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jesus.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Matt Nicholas, General Manager for Republic Services. I sent an email earlier today, and I would like to publicly let you know that should you choose to listen to your constituents and your voters here and the union members that are here, Republic Services is willing to discuss an extension in order to keep services as is, in order to maintain the current service and level of service that you have. So again, we are willing to negotiate an extension with the city should you would choose to make that move. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good to be on this side. Mike Gomez, 12429 Farlow Street. I just got here, you know, a few minutes ago. I was at baseball practice with the kids. We're district champions again for the 3rd time, so I just want to thank us. But it was probably already mentioned, but to me, the issue on the trash issue is obviously when you hire a consultant, it's because you feel you need somebody with experience, with the knowledge to be able to search and find the best fit for your community. And you hired them. I saw part of the report. It looks like they did a pretty good job. But what I don't understand is what I hope it would be explained is why, when you have 2 of the 3 organizations, there were really a couple of points of difference from each other as far as their rating, but the 3rd one was like 20 points lower than them at least, and it still went with the lowest one. And this rating is not, it's not the rating as far as what the price to pay. This is a rating of how they comply with all the questions that you wanted asked of them as they sent their applications in, such as, you know, their safety records, their records with other communities, and, you know, a myriad of things that you asked. I know that they had a total of 200 points available. So I just hope that, you know, you can look at that and can you explain why you would stoop to the one just because it's the lowest bidder money-wise, but it was rated so low and everything else that matters. And the other thing, as far as the reorganization, like my wife said, Ronaldo and I didn't see eye to eye up here, and it's common, the standard is for cities that rotate their mayors like ours does, that from time to time people get walked over or passed over. There's a correct word to say, passed over and don't get into that seat for whatever reason. The 3 or whatever other voters of the council decide, but that's not what happened this time. This is uncommon for somebody to be voted in as mayor with your full support, and then 5 or 6 months later decide you don't want to be there. And I mean, the thing is, all the members of the city council are sitting up there have in some way or another gotten that seat because of the help of Ronaldo and his supporters, and now you're doing this to him. I mean, I mean, Barry Ronaldo and Barry were close, for the first part of their administration. In fact, a few years ago, Barry officiated Ronaldo's son's wedding. Hank did the blessing before the dinner. I mean, and now, I don't understand. There's nothing to be accomplished except trying to embarrass this man, and he doesn't deserve it. Thank you.
How you doing? My name is Austria Garcia. I live on Bellshire Avenue, and I'm also part of the Homeowners Association. These guys behind me have been very essential to cleaning up our community. First impressions are very important. Coming off of work, going in through my driveway, I see 2 disgustingly painted trash cans right in front of our driveway. Please listen to your constituents and don't go forward with this.
Seeing no one else, I guess we'll close oral communications. So now is the time for the city council to address comments made by the public.
Before I comment, Mr. Hernandez, can you read our letter that we got from Republic when we requested an extension about 3 months ago, before we even take a vote?
So I don't have that in front of me. There were actually several communications between the city and Republic to negotiate an extension. Initially, Republic came back with a 5-year extension that did not meet the city's terms as far as needs, and then later on came back with a 1-year extension that had a substantial increase, and the city did not move forward with that.
Can you explain what that increase was?
I believe, and Ramey, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it had a 15% increase? 12? It had a 12% increase in rates for the 1-year extension from July 1, 2018 through 6/30/2019.
Now, I was informed of that. Was Ms. Maravilla informed of that?
All the city council was informed of that.
Thank you. So if we would have stayed with Republic, that would have been a 12% increase to your trash rates. That's my first answer. Anybody else? We're going to answer all of your concerns. We're going to answer all of your concerns. That's the first one.
I want to actually respond to Mr. Oscar Garcia. Oscar Garcia is actually the manager of the condo complex on Bellshire where I happen to live. And actually this morning, I did not notice the bins there. Coming to city council, I noticed 2 old bins that were rusty and painted over with green paint, unsecured on the slope of the driveway. Now, they weren't chained to the fence. They weren't chained to a tree. Any child, and every morning we see a bunch of kids walking over to Fetty. What these bins can do, and I've heard complaints from a bunch of different condo complexes, these bins can roll off of the driveway and run over an infant, a pet, or a person. I don't understand how this is acceptable. And I will keep my comments to the item, but I do appreciate Mr. Garcia bringing that up. These are not new bins. Let's be clear about that. The commercial bins are not new.
I will go ahead and address all of your concerns, and the problem has been confidentiality, and I am so glad you're here, and I hope you stay and ask me directly any problems that you may have. I know that Ms. Maravilla has based herself on a lot of rumors, and the biggest one, and one of you brought it up, and Rosie, as you know, we've talked a lot, and I respect Mike, and I love that you guys are here defending your brother, because for the 4 years that I've been here, it's like, what is going on with you two? But in regards to your $100,000, Mr. Hernandez, where is that $100,000 coming from? Now, as I understand from you, the perception is that as city, we are paying that $100,000.
So the RFP was specific that the expense of the preparation and analysis of the proposals and assistance with negotiations of a new contract were to be reimbursed by the vendor that was selected.
Now, was there any confusion in the RFP that anyone who applied for this hauler contract would reimburse the city, give us back the money of $100,000 once they receive the contract?
None of the vendors raised any issues with that.
Mr. Attorney, was there any question as to whether it was clear in the RFP if you applied for this contract, you would reimburse the city those $100,000?
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, it was clear in the RFP.
Now, Ms. Maravilla has been writing all this kinds of crazy stuff on Facebook. I have written her a letter, and I will gladly read it to the public. Was Ms. Maravilla informed or given a copy of the RFP when we sent it out to everybody else to apply for as a council member? And Ms. Rodriguez, too, but Ms. Maravilla
I
seems to
believe
go on a
that we're
rampage.
here to address the concerns of oral communication, and you can reserve your comments to after.
Ms. Rosie Gomez specifically stated $100,000. Were you here when they presented?
Anyone that understands how business works understands that if we tell a company that they need to cover the cost of something, eventually the company is going to charge us and include that price and work that price in so that we end up paying for it. That's business 101. I don't know why I have to explain business 101 to you.
There were three individuals who stated that they had a concern with $100,000. I know it's business 101. You have a master's, remember? So you would understand that if we expand the expenditure, if you expend those $100,000, you're going to get reimbursed. That's not an expenditure. That's a reimbursement. Now, Bob, I think that your answer was answered in regards to holding off a year. I was not going to have the residents pay that much money just because we as a council members couldn't read or we couldn't, get ourselves together in selecting a vendor. In regards to Mike, when we approve the contract, we can easily go over the points, and I can go ahead and justify that. I do have a concern in regards to the Teamsters, but thank you for coming. We've been going through this process since last year. And unfortunately, when you look at the proposals that were provided, only one person noted their union. And it was a whole paragraph on how they took care of their non-union members and a small little item that they were held by the Teamsters. Now, I did meet with the Teamsters. I am a union member, and I talked to them. I know at this point we're moving forward, but would you be willing to take on a union? And they specifically said that unless the company has 100 members as Teamsters, they would not be willing to come in. So that speaks to the union. That doesn't speak to the hauler.
That's not true. Liar.
Okay. Wow. Who is speaking? Because there was only 3 people in the meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
100 members.
Mr. Mayor,
Nope.
if I may, Mr.
I
Mayor,
heard that.
Mr. Mayor, it is inappropriate, Mr. Mayor, it is inappropriate for anybody in the audience to be screaming from the audience and disrupting this council meeting. There is provisions in the Brown Act that say if anyone's disrupting the meeting, that they can be asked to either be quiet or be removed. And I would urge the mayor to take control of the audience because this kind of
back and forth
is not healthy, or it doesn't give a good appearance to the city. So I would strongly urge the mayor to remind the audience that screaming out from the audience is not appropriate. This is not a pep rally. It's a business meeting.
So we already addressed. I appreciate Matt from Republic coming up and offering that extension. I wish that we would, be able to talk about it more. But at this point, at least in my view, I'm moving forward. And Isabel was talking about lowest rated and hidden agenda. I am sorry, there is no hidden agenda. I was elected to represent the people, and at times I have, opposed certain members of the council, and at one point all of them opposed me, and I still spoke up to what I believe is best for the residents. And I have no problem stating to you or telling you that I do believe that this particular company is going to help us out in the city.
Mr. Mayor, we do have just a few items on the PFA, and I know the board members are sitting up there and may have to sit there for quite a while. If the body would consider handling the PFA matters at this time, so that this way they can be excused from all of this activity. I'm not looking to shut down comments from the council members, but I think out of courtesy and respect to the PHA directors, that might be appropriate action.
We'll just go to the Public Housing Authority. Item A, public hearings, we have none. Consent calendar. Items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item may be removed from the consent calendar and will be considered separately. So, does anybody want to remove or consider any? Seeing none, we'll go to item B.
We need a motion, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
I need a motion to.
I'll make the motion to receive the consent calendar as is.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item B1, adopt resolution, approve the warrant. Oh, we accepted that. Okay, so we're going to board action. Do we have any discussion items? Any new business? Any oral staff reports? Any oral board reports? So we adjourn this Housing Authority meeting until July the 24th. Thank you.
You may, would the chair also consider dealing with the the successor agency agenda, since it is like, and the PHA directors are excused.
Go ahead. Okay, so the next item, the agenda and the successor agency, RD8, which this will probably be the last one, right?
No, the successor agency will continue. The oversight board from the county level gets merged into 5 different districts.
Okay. So we go to public hearings. We have none. Consent calendar. Items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote.
A motion to approve the consent calendar.
Do I have a second?
Please do more.
Second.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So we'll go to agency action, discussion items. See none. New business. Closed session, none. Oral staff reports. We have none. Oral agency reports, none. So we adjourn until July the 10th, 2018 at 6 p.m. And now we'll go back to oral communications once we get reorganized here. We haven't finished the discussion here. Mhm.
Hello.
This is the time still to respond to any comments made by the public, by the city council.
I will comment. I'll
me just-
comment. All this, all of you are here because of the trash contract. It's on. Everyone here is riled up because of a trash contract. The reorg, it stems from a trash contract. I worked 17 years for the union in this place, in Hawaiian Gardens. I walked for these two because the union was against them, because these two were union busters. And he was portrayed as a dog on his lap because he was a lap dog in the newspaper. And I was warned, if they lose this election, you lose your job. But I kept on pushing for them because I knew the city needed help. And guess what? These two changed it around. These two did a fantastic job. Then I got elected with both of their help. And I think we've done, as a team, a great job for the city. Then the trash company, like I said, it's been over a year we've been dealing with this. We're not just hearing for the first time who's no good, who's good. Well, I went to lunch with every single company. And how much, do I get as many times as I want?
Yes, you're a council member.
So,
There's a $400 limit a year
What is she talking about?
to accept gifts from any lobbyist.
Mr. Attorney, can you clarify for, I don't know what she's talking about.
It's actually 470.
No.
But Miss,
no, it's okay. It's okay. Believe
Do
me,
you have a
I
time
went
constraint? Yeah,
to
she-
lunch with the companies, and you could ask them, I'm a hamburger man. I eat hamburgers. When I go out on big things, yeah, if they buy steak, I eat steak. But those are with our credit cards and stuff like that. But when I go to, okay, well, well, let me just get back on my point. I went to lunch with all the businesses, and I asked them tough questions, and they gave me answers. And then the next day, I'd go over what I heard. Well, when I went with CR&R, your friend Sal Flores, who represents them, he calls me and he goes, hey, come to my house. I said, I don't know where you live. He goes, I live in Cerritos. Go up Bloomfield, make a right on Alondra. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to give you his address. So I go there, and the first thing out of his mouth, because he has a very nice house, 2-story. I said, man, this is beautiful. He says, yeah. He goes, Hank, this is where we do recalls. He goes, I get $25,000 from the casino, not directly to me, but it's filtered through the union, and we support whoever is making the right decisions. And he says, you know, if you make the right decisions, we could pave your way. Or anyone that you want to push, we could pave their way. But if you don't make the right decision, we'll recall you. So I was madder than heck because I went to trash lunch with every company. No one's ever spoke to me that way. So I was very upset. And then he goes, they want you to go in my car. So I get in his car, leave my car at his house, and we go to CR&R's on Western and Catella, and I'm sitting there and I'm mad, but these guys are telling me how bad commercial is. Then we took a trip through their nice facility, great big facility, and but when it came down to bidding, because let me jump back a little bit, because I'm elected by the city of Hawaiian Gardens. I am for the residents of Hawaiian Gardens. I'm not for any union. I am not going to charge our community more money because they want to get paid higher. If there's a company, when I was born and raised here, Cecino was a single-family resident that handled all of Hawaiian Gardens. And they used to pick up the trash cans like this. And my uncles used to work at the trash, and that's what they did. Guess what? In all those years, that was 60 years ago, our city hasn't grown 1 inch. Yet, Republic and CNR, they're nationwide. I mean, we went to Joe and I went to a convention in Vegas, and CNR's all over that. I mean, Republic's all over that place too. Now you see, it's all about what Muni Environmental called volume. They got so much more volume than this little company. But we're the smallest town in the United States. We don't need to pay the overhead. All we need is someone to pick up our trash. And let me tell you this, the reason that Muni Environmental charged us $100,000 is because one company didn't play ball with them. They kept calling. We kept saying, what's going on? They said, well, we're not getting the paperwork we're requesting from this company. And it wasn't commercial. And at this time, I'd like Ramey to come up, please, and read us a letter that the state gave, or what the state, remember we had a closed session? We had a closed session, and you revealed something to all 5 council members.
Mr. Mayor, I want to remind the council that
But isn't that
the
open
items
to
that
the
are
public
disclosed
now?
in closed session should not be disclosed at this point.
No, that was closed session. We can't talk about that.
I thought that was made public.
And the public may not understand, but we hold the city accountable if we break that. And that's why there's an attorney here to make sure that we act abiding to your representation and your tax dollars.
Is Muni here to, yeah, okay, great. Because I want them to speak also. You got to hear them. Now, in July 1st, I'm talking about why would we pick such a small company? July 1st is when the new contract starts. Now, the bidding came in as this. Republic, who we have now, they bid it at $20 per household per month.
Councilmember Trimble,
Yeah.
can we save specific
I'll
questions
save
to
it.
the contract?
Okay, now listen. I know you want to hear about this recall. Okay, let me tell you the truth. Because he's been an honorable mayor, an honorable councilman. Both of these guys have. They were great as a team in the beginning. But then the trash contract hit. And his real good friend represents CRNR. So he was pushing CRNR. Her real good friend's pushing Republic, which is Francesca Chella.
I'm pushing any company that is qualified.
Now listen.
We really look
Listen,
forward to the item.
Has anybody, because see, she couldn't make a right decision because she works and she's busy and she's
Don't insult a working woman. Do not insult a working
I'm
woman.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Do not
all
insult
right.
a working woman.
But she could-
Just
she-
because I have a career and an education doesn't make me less than you who has all this time in the world. Do not insult a working woman. Shame on you.
Okay, so then she had no time to read anything about the
I
trash
had
company.
enough time to read everything. Thank you very much. I did not go to Contract
last
Cities the
meeting-
weekend that you guys were there.
The last
so that I
meeting,
can
if
concentrate
you
on
see
this.
the
Do
last
not
meeting,
speak for me,
it
and we need to move
says
forward to the
she
item.
didn't have time. She needs more time. She
I
wants an extension.
had time.
Okay, now listen.
I had
listen.
time. Do not speak for me.
Has
Reynaldo, will you please
has
move forward to the
everybody
item?
here read her
Okay,
blogs?
let's-
Wait, I'm going to tell them why the reorganization.
You need to
Yes,
wait
let me
until we
speak to the
discuss.
public. Let me speak. Let me speak. Let me speak.
City Attorney, can we?
Okay, I want to remind members of the public, Mayor.
Take charge of this, Ronaldo.
If members of the public continue this way, we're going to have to
There
escort them
shouldn't
out.
be any accusations against each other.
What
in
we
public
need to
right
do,
here.
we'll have to start to identify those in the audience that are engaging in outbursts. We will have to give them a warning. We will then have to, if they don't stop their outbursts, we will have to ask them to be removed. The city council doesn't want to do this, I'm sure. I know there are a lot of heated issues. I think the suggestion that I would make to the mayor is this is your meeting and you have the right to control the meeting. I would also suggest to each council member to show respect to each other, to allow anyone to speak once. While one person is speaking, the interruption should not occur because everyone will have their opportunity to say what they want to say. And again, the mayor is the chair of the meeting. I can only give my guidance and advice to the entire council, but respect and civility at this level should be expected.
Okay, so you can continue on with that, but let's not have any interference between us, and then you get the chance.
The thing is that we were supposed to respond to oral communication on everything that everyone is saying here has to do with the item, so I suggest that we move forward with the item.
Okay. So let's stop the outburst. here.
However, as I understand
You
from our
already spoke
procedures,
before, so let everybody else get a chance here.
just a point of clarification, though, I don't believe there is a time limit for council members, and I believe Mr. Tremble was interrupted.
Oh, so now you're speaking for Mr. Tremble.
I can. I always have spoken for you as
You want
well.
to continue on, or so that we can?
I would love to continue on. Or, I honestly feel that we have people that they're not listening anyway.
Well, Mr. Mayor, if we are not going to have, if we're going to,
Okay, I'm through.
Mr. Mayor,
I'm through speaking.
if we're going to continue to have members of the audience engage in those types of outbursts, I would recommend that you take a recess, that the council regroup, let the audience calm down, and then we come back. Because again, as I mentioned earlier, this is a business meeting. Actually, quite frankly, in most city councils that our firm represents, that I sit in the chair, those councils do not allow those types of screaming, yelling, chanting, applause. They're run in a business-like fashion. And so I would like to remind the audience, again, I can only make recommendations.
Can you please
that
calm
we run
down
a
here
civil,
a little bit and
business-like meeting.
Let the rest of the council members speak, and then later on, when the council meeting is over, you guys can go out there and holler all you want. So please calm down so we can continue on and get this over with. Would you like to? Yes. Well, are you going to make any comments?
No, I'm reserving my comments for D1.
Okay. You going to make any comments?
Yes, I will. I'll speak to two things. First of all, regarding the contract of the trash hauler that was awarded already and agreed on by 3 council members, which is the order of the way things are here. 3 council members make a decision. Majority decision rules. That's the decision that's passed by council. All councils know that. All council members know that when they come in. I haven't always received 3 votes on the things that I wanted to do, and I didn't throw a fit over it. I made comments because of fairness and things like that, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But the contract's been awarded. It's done. It's awarded.
It's awarded when we vote. D1.
It's my turn to speak, Myra Maravilla. So maybe you could be quiet and let me speak. You didn't want to speak, remember? The 3 of us agreed that bigger wasn't better. And 2, the mayor and his counterpart over there felt that bigger was better. But we made the decision based on what we thought was best for our city in many different ways. And I'm not going to go into all the many ways and the things that I made my decision based on. That would take all night. Muni was not everything that I factored my decision on. I also met with all the companies. I and my fellow council members are not corrupt, as we've been accused by the mayor and Mrs. Maravilla publicly in a press release. We're not corrupt. My congregation has no reason to be upset with me, as it says in her report. I take offense to that. And yes, I used to think the mayor made good decisions. Recently, I think he put his name on something he didn't even read personally. You don't put your name on something you don't read, especially when it's written by somebody like that. But I asked him, did you read that? And he said he did. I said, do you agree with that? He said he did. Well, if he agrees with those accusations against me and my fellow council members, then he is not a mayor that I will stand behind. Not now, not ever. I'm offended to the core, especially since I've known him for 9 years and worked with him. So you can figure out what kind of friends you have out there. But if a friend did that to you and then made it public that you were a crook and you were corrupt and you were no good because you made a decision based on what you thought was best for your community, shame on you, Mr. Mayor. Shame on you. And as far as the agenda item about reorganization, I'll speak to that when the agenda item comes up. And if you want to remain for that, you can. And if you don't, I'll still speak to that. That's it.
Thank you. I've been accused of all kinds of things, but when we first started, our pastor here he's not what he used to be. It's I don't know what it is that just made him change. It sounds like greed or something, and it also it reminds me of some of these pastors that they get to the point where they think they're gods, they're above everybody, and they can do whatever they want to. A good example is Waco, Texas, the division, and all this. It seems, but anyway, the reason he wants to do all this is because I oppose this contract. A company that is going to be losing $50,000 a month from the beginning. How long do you think they're going to last without coming back and raising our fees? I mean, this, this company had never done any residential. They have their fees are extremely low, like I said, and it's not real. You can talk to the Trash Holders Association, and they tell you that. It says this company cannot provide the service at the cost that they're giving us, which they underbidded the other two companies, and our council members win with that. So I'm not going to say too much, but just think about it. If a company is going to be losing $50,000 a month, how long do you think they're going to last before they go bankrupt, or how long they're going to last before they start raising the real or more fees? And this is what's going to happen. So with that, do we have any more comments? Okay, so what we're going to do now is going to go through the agenda. So we have item number 8.1, which is conduct public hearing and adopt resolution number 0.
That's not what's on the agenda, Mr. Mayor. What's on the agenda is agenda organization, and I'd like to move up D5.
Okay, well, let's move up D2, D1.
D5.
I requested D1 first.
D1 and D5.
I requested D5, and I don't know where D1 came from all of a sudden, but my request, why is my request second instead of first?
I requested
First
D1
request.
since oral communication.
You go sequential. This is D1 and D5. Is that correct there, Mr. Attorney?
Well, Mr. Mayor, it is at the pleasure of the mayor and subject to the city council determination.
I would like to discuss D1, which is the actual contract for the trash company.
Well, I would like to discuss D5.
What we need then is a motion from someone which is going to be seconded and.
Well, I'll make a motion to move D5 forward first on the agenda.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Well, okay.
We need unless there's, first item would be if there's any discussion on the motion. If not, then it would be appropriate to take a recall on the vote. On the motion, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to comment on this motion. Is it too late?
No, as the mayor that's running the meeting, I'm only providing guidance as to what I think is the proper
I'd like to motion. I want to say to the public what I was going to say earlier before I got shut up. I respect him. He's done a great job. But these things that have been written using Mayor Rodriguez and Mayor Rodriguez, and these things are just viciously deceitful, and it gets me upset that this is going out to our public, and it's so untrue. And when they asked him, do you agree with those things? He goes, yes, I agree with them. And it's not the leadership. See, 3 votes in the council gives the city direction, not 2 and a bunch of deceitful lies with their mayor title on it. That's not what we're about. I have too much respect for this council to let it get drugged through mud like this. And then we got union people from all over the place, don't even live in the city, but they're here to tell you how to run your city. I don't care about your people who have to pay more. We're union men. We do great jobs. And then all the deceit. And that's why I'm saying, Mr. Rodriguez, you got to read and not put your title on stuff that's just not true. I mean, that's why I am doing this, because I got elected by the city of Hawaiian Gardens, and I'm looking out for the city of Hawaiian Gardens.
I'd just like to make a comment on that before we proceed. My residents of Hawaiian Gardens know who I am, what I have done, and what I will do. And I don't have to lie to them. If anybody reads anything, I read this agenda every week or every other week when I get it.
Well, then why did you lie in your press release? Why did you lie in your press release then? Why?
Why was it a lie?
Because you said that I was a
Because
crook and that I was a thief.
You say it's a
You
lie.
said that we violated the Brown Act at a meeting. You said all kinds of vicious things that are not true, and there's no facts whatsoever to base it on, but yet you put your name on it. Why are you pounding your mallet?
Where are you?
I've read your document.
This is
your document.
Now you see what we have here.
It's your and Mrs. Myra Villa's document.
And I
5
don't-
pages, Ray.
and I-
Scalding 5
and
pages.
I'm
And,
not-
I don't know if the public out here read it, but I sure read it. I read every page. And you're saying that you don't lie to your public, but you did lie to your
I
public.
do not lie to my public.
You do.
Yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, I read everything. In fact, if anybody knows, I
read those 5 pages.
see. This is the type of person that we're dealing with now. He's not used. He didn't used to be that way, but now all of a sudden he's a god, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, you know me. You know how I am, and you know how I will be. You guys are number one for me. I'm here for you guys. You elected me to do a job, and that's what I'm doing. And I will continue, whether I'm mayor or not, I will continue doing the same thing, because these people are not going to be doing anything for you, except I don't know what their motive is, but so you don't have to persuade anybody that what I am, because they know who I am. And so like I said, I'll continue, and I will, anytime, like I always said, you want to talk to me, go to my house, at the local stores, wherever you see me, I'm still there. And so no matter what happens here, because I did not agree with their trash company, and I did not agree with all this lies that they're giving us, and this is why they're doing this, and this is what they're going to do. So you, the public, are going to have to deal with it in any way you can. So let's continue on with the agenda.
I will say a couple of words. I disagree completely with the comments made by my colleagues here tonight, except for Mr. Rodriguez. It's very unfortunate that this company has taken a hold on 3 of my colleagues who I consider to be intelligent people. I don't understand how all of the signs can point towards do not hire this company. They don't have a credit score. They've been sued before. They apparently harass our children at the Leeward Pool. The list can go on and on and on. And nothing in that press release was a lie. Never in there did we use the word crook. Never in there. We listed our suspicions. We listed our concerns. We listed facts. If my colleagues do not like the way the facts read when they're compiled on a black and white piece of paper, then maybe they shouldn't have behaved that way. Maybe they shouldn't have voted that way. It's not my fault that the way the facts look when compiled on one document makes them look bad. That is not my problem, and that is not my fault. My job is to communicate with the public of Hawaiian Gardens the facts as they are, the situations as they arise, the comments that are spoken at this dais when they are spoken. Again, if my colleagues do not like the way all of those things compiled on one document look, then shame on you. You should reflect in the mirror, and I'm sure you did. I'm sure all of you reflected in the mirror and didn't like how that read and didn't like how that looked. And guess what? I don't like how that looks either. My job is to never withhold information from the public. I will always do my best to give you guys factual information as I receive it. Because when I vote on something, I want you to know the same information that I know. on May 22nd, when we were voting, using the Muni Environmental $100,000 consultant report, I motioned, Mayor Rodriguez seconded, to make that document public so that I could read off of it. My 3 colleagues voted no. They did not want that document to be public. Why? If they do not like how the facts look when they're all compiled in one document, that is not my fault. And that is not my problem. I don't represent them, I represent you. And I will always give you the information that you deserve to make a decision when you go to the ballot box.
Okay, so let's proceed on to...
Mr. Mayor, I have something to say. And that is that at the last meeting, Ms. Maravilla admitted she had not read the 3 binders from the consultants. And that she was... Excuse me, I have
on Monday.
I have the
We
word.
had a council meeting on Tuesday. Each report was 300 pages. Councilwoman Mariana Rios says she read 900 pages in less than 12 hours.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Explain that to me.
I will definitely explain that to you. First of all, as a council member, you have taken it upon yourself to go ahead and do this job. Our binder tonight is 378 pages. Did you go ahead and read our binder? Now, pretty much similar to every single binder. I went back and counted every single binder to see how many pages.
Well, you guys are addressing each other
Mr.
here.
Rodriguez,
Let's stop that and let's continue on.
I'm
with,
answering the questions. I have a right to speak. We had Republic's binder. Republic's binder was 88 pages. I'm not sure where you get the 300 and the 500 pages you couldn't read.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, but we do have a motion and a second on the floor to move D5.
We have commercials, which is the one you're attacking the most. And yeah, I guess because it was 154 pages, you did not even want to glance it. And CNR's binder was 72 pages, Ms. Maravilla. So please look at the information. That is your responsibility as a council member to make the best informed decision. And I disagree that you're giving the community facts. You're giving them rumors. You're giving them half information, specifically proven in the $100,000 that you're saying that the city's spending that money. The city is not spending that money. We're going to get that money back.
And it's going to be factored into the cost that they're going to now charge the residents. It's, again, business 101. It's not my responsibility.
You know what? I am a teacher, and it's been brought up many a times.
Come on, let's stop this.
Sorry,
Let's stop this.
Mr. Rodriguez, I
let's
know that it's
continue
not
on,
benefiting right now, but I have the
The
word.
audience wants to continue on with this.
Mr. Attorney, do I have the word?
Mr. Mayor, as I've tried to suggest previously, there should only be one speaker at a time. Everyone, I would hope the mayor would allow everyone their opportunity to give their speech, give their
The problem
presentation.
here is she's asking her a question.
I'm just responding to and it was my turn to speak.
This is why we
Nope.
get into this. Do not ask anybody. You can respond, you can talk, just like being in court. But do not talk to her directly. Or the same thing for us to talk to each other directly.
We're a council, we can talk to each other.
One thing is, I had those bids months before anybody did, because I was at the bid opening, at the time when we had the bid openings here. And Mr. Colombo, about a week later, he gave me all the books. So I read those books.
Good. I'm not talking about you. Ms. Maravilla is the one that
I
admitted
should
that
not
she
be
can't
accused
read
that I didn't read anything.
it. That wasn't to you. Are you?
So, and
never said yes.
those books were given to us right after the Indian Wells, the ones that you got. I already had my set. So how could you read that in one day?
Well, I did do a 50-page
never mind. I'm
paper.
sorry, I'm asking
Well,
you.
let me answer. You're asking me.
I'm sorry that
you
I
know,
asked
and,
you.
One night I am a graduate student. I do have a full-time job. I am on vacation right now. I got on vacation 2 weeks ago. So I was telling them the luxury of just having to just come and get my binders and just focusing on reading it.
So let's,
I have looked at the thing. And
let's
what this
continue
reminds
on.
me of, unfortunately, is the movie Stand and Deliver. I am a teacher, where these students,
let's-
amazing students, did an amazing job passing a calculus test, and they were questioned.
Hey,
This
please,
is an amazing opportunity for us to have with this trash hauler.
Let's continue on with the motion. The motion was to move D1, D2, D5 by the Mayor Pro Tem, and I guess they want to get rid of me right away. So anyway, Did we have a second on that? Do we have a roll call?
Now, wait, what is the motion that was on the floor?
The motion is to move D5 forward.
So we're not even voting on the motion yet, Mr. Mayor. We're just moving the item out to just be discussed first.
Councilmember Rios,
I don't mind the order. I don't mind taking it up first.
Mayor Pro Tem Bruce,
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez.
No.
Councilmember Trimble.
Yes.
Councilmember Maravilla.
No.
Motion carries.
Okay, we'll go to item D1. I mean D5.
Okay. So the question asked by so many people was, why do we want to reorganize, or why do I want to reorganize? And this is my agenda item. I put it here. Okay, so I'm speaking for myself. And if my other council members agree with me, then so be it. If they don't, they don't. But I still wanted to make this announcement to the city. I have worked with Ray for almost 9 years. We have fought some grand fights together. Many of those fights have been with people that are now here supporting him. We've won some, we've lost some. We saved the city millions of dollars when we came in here, for those of you who don't know or don't appreciate it. We've saved a lot of money for this city, both of us together. Millions of dollars. We were able to do a lot of things together, and I had the greatest respect for Ray. I have had the greatest respect for Ray. Honestly, felt in many ways, well, I don't need to go into all my feelings, but I've respected him greatly. Always saw him as someone who has the best interests of the city in mind, and that was one of the reasons I liked him so much. He knows that I've been attacked many, many times on many issues for things that are straight up lies. He knows that I've lost over $60,000 of income to our ministry because of me being on the city council here. And all of that is due to lies. Lies written in the paper. Lies like this report that came out by Maravilla. Lies that have been made public and printed in the public newspaper and have hurt my ministry. A ministry that has worked with kids in the community for over 34 years. That's what I do, Ray. That's what I do.
I did not.
Yeah, you don't seem to know what I do. You said that, and
No,
you
I
and
said I
you.
don't know what you're
No,
doing
I'm
now.
talking now.
I'm sorry.
I'm talking
I'm
now.
sorry that I interfered.
And you, of course, also likened me to David Koresh of Waco, Texas, who killed off all of these people. Look, you guys may think that's real funny stuff, but I've worked in your community for 34 years, and many of your children I've ministered to. Many of your families I've brought food to. But you can laugh at that? That's disgusting. You're disgusting to do that. You are. I don't care. I'm not running anymore. I could care less what you think of me. But I'll tell you what, I will be in this city until I die. And I will be continuing to minister in this city until God is done with me here. But I'll tell you what, I am not going to sit here and have somebody who calls themselves a mayor, somebody that I elected as mayor because I respected him,
Could you
be
Mayor,
someone who
Mayor.
lies about me, someone who puts me down, somebody who says things about me that he knows darn well are not true. I'm not going to put up with it.
Mayor, if
And so, personally, the way I feel about it is I won't support him as mayor anymore. I'm retracting my vote for him as mayor. I'm sorry I voted for him as mayor. I have seen this man go downhill the last 6 months, and I have been disgusted with the attitude I've seen. I've been disgusted with the decisions he's made, and this decision right here is one of the worst ones that I think he's made. And no matter how hard I try to talk to him, no matter how I've tried to show him documents, he wouldn't even look at them. He wouldn't even receive them. I've never had such a difficult time trying to share with somebody information who's on council. He would not receive it. When I asked him for documents to show me the things that he said about the company that I hired, he could never provide them for me. He never gave me any documents. This is all factless, baseless stuff. And I don't know why he's doing it. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he's a liar and he's a cheat. I don't know why he's doing it. But I am disgusted with it. And I cannot support him anymore. And that's because I'm an ethical person and I'm a moral person, whether you like it or not. I don't care what you think of me. I really don't. Because the people that know who I am, they know that I'm the truth. They know that I speak the truth. And you know what? For the rest of you that don't, whatever. I've done 9 years. At the end of my term here, I've done 9 years for this city. I'm going to take it, Bob.
Sir,
I don't need your help.
Mr. Mayor, again, they're really...
Mr. Mayor, I don't, this is a professional organization, and frankly, we're diverting from the agenda tonight. If the members of the public cannot withhold speaking out, I'm going to ask the attorney and the deputies to start getting names so we can get this business in order.
What we need, Ernie, is, Mr. City Manager, is some assistance from the chair. It's the mayor who has the authority under the Brown Act to declare people out of order. All I can, those people who are applauding really should stop. And Mr. Mayor, I would implore upon you to ask the community to show respect to this body. I think you all five deserve it. I know you all five deserve it. You have difference of opinions on this one issue, and it's gotten very heated. But one person should be speaking at a time, and once that person is done, the mayor should call upon the next person. And I can't emphasize that enough. No one seems to be listening to either the city manager or myself, but I really hope you would.
The problem
I'm not
is-
finished.
I'll continue.
And so that's why I brought this as an agenda item, so that I can express to the public why I am removing my support from Mayor Rodriguez. And again, that's me removing my support. And my motion is that we reorganize and that he be removed as mayor and that we put Mariana Rios as mayor.
Please.
That's my motion. That's what I want. I don't want to be mayor. I don't want Hank to be mayor again. I certainly don't want her to be mayor, which is what she wants probably more than anything else, which is her primary reason for writing her report. And I think she's a good leader. I think she at least sticks to her guns. You may not like the way she speaks sometimes, and I haven't either in the past. We've had a few live ones up here. But I'll tell you one thing about this lady. When she believes something and she votes for it, she votes for it. And she believes in it and she stands by it. And I think that's what our city needs, not somebody who's flaky and drifts back and forth and puts their name on something they haven't even read. She's not going to do that. And I want what's best for this city. And honestly, I don't want to serve 6 more months under somebody who I can't trust. And that's my motion, and that's why I brought it forward.
Well, I know it's hard to keep the audience from responding, because when you accuse the audience when you tell them you don't care of whatever you, and that's the attitude you have right now, because you're going out the same time I am. You don't care what happens to or what's good for the community. And
I didn't say that. I said I care what's good for the community, but I'm going
not to
out.
the audience. Well, excuse me. Go ahead. Now you're interrupting me. But you didn't say that to the audience. You said, I don't care. I'll be out in 6 months or whatever. And that's why the community responded also. So, it works both ways. And as far as you accusing me of not reading anything else, or the community knows. I don't have to explain to you anything. The community knows who I am, and you can lie to them all you want, but they're not going to believe you anyway. So let's continue on with item D1, and let's have the roll.
No, we're still on D5.
I mean D5.
And I made a
keep
motion.
saying- Okay.
Well, is there a second for my motion?
I second it.
Roll call.
excuse me, while we're still in discussion. This is a very difficult decision for me because obviously I've lived in the city pretty much all my life, and I thank the city because it was going to Leeward Pool, and I've told you many a times I went barefoot because my mom was working, and it was my job as the eldest to take care of my family. So we went to the Leeward Pool. I love the city, and I love the people in it, and it has always given me nothing but the best. Yeah, there's been negative stuff all through the years, and we all have gone through negative stuff together because as a city, we have to take it whether it's good or bad. And there's been amazing times that I choose to focus on the positive, the amazing privilege I got from going to Ferry. And, you know, my escape was always school. We had a difficult family life, but I focused on school. When I was at Ferry, I got tons of trophies and certificates, and I loved, and that just reaffirmed who I was, and that I was good at school. So hence, going to Artesia for me was easy. And even my friends took care of me. They would talk about, oh, we're going to go to this party this weekend, but you can't go, you're studying. So I wasn't even invited. It was so horrible, but, you know, we take care of each other in the city, and that's something that I've known and I've grown up. And to be offered mayor is an extreme honor and a privilege that I would love to have, because there would be no greater privilege for me than to represent the city that I grew up in. And I fear that was the goal, because I would be jumping up and down to be the mayor of this great city, and to represent it and to anybody who I encounter. And with pride, I would say that I would be the mayor of Hawaiian Gardens. And why is that? Because the mayor is not better than any of us up here. The only reason the mayor is up there is to have a figurehead, someone who will speak for us. And unfortunately, Mr. Rodriguez, I admire you greatly because we as well have always disagreed. Agreed, disagreed, but it hasn't held a grudge between us. I said Hank was a great mayor because when he was mayor, it was just nice coming to the council. His personalization, he has a gift where he, you know, gets along with people. And to have that opportunity right now, I would be my privilege to accept it. But at the same time, I have to be who I am. I don't have regrets. So if you turn on me, that's what happens. And the worst attacks on a person, in my short life, maybe a little bit longer than short, is when you're attacked by family, when you're attacked by friends, because in my world, family and friends are the people you rely on. Employees and business partners become your family eventually, and friends. And I think the hardest thing for those three, particularly when I saw Ms. Myra's comment, where this woman, if you've seen the council meetings, if you've seen what they relate, Hank and her ran together. Whether open session, closed sessions, she gravitates to him. Oh, Hank this, oh, Hank that, or whatever. And to see that this person is now trying to recall him, whether it has been filed or not, the threat of that is just to me deceiving. Why would I want to be near anybody like that? And I can see that in this particular instance of Reynaldo and Bruce and Hank, they've been a cohesiveness, and when you're together, you get to know people, you get to rely on people, and this is a trash contract, but it goes beyond that because it's like a betrayal. It's not like last time we had 3 votes and let's move forward. We've never had 3 votes and companies come back and say, why not? Why this? We're going to do this. This is ridiculous. 3 votes represent a city, and 3 people up here believe from last time we have not. You're right, we haven't voted on the contract, but 3 people believe that this is the best company for us. And if I approve the contract, you can know that I have no regret in supporting this contract. You have no doubt that I've read the RFPs. I reviewed what's being offered. Republic didn't even approach me. I guess they assumed that they were going to get it from me. They were going to get the vote automatically. I'm here to represent the city. And I'm here to stand for those people like me who grew up in the city who didn't have a voice. I see Mrs. Navejas here who, when we were growing up, my mom was like, wow, she's doing so much for our city. You know? That's the people that our young people rely on. So I love the offer, but at the same time, as I've been considering it, I can't help but think of your mom and your brother. I mean, I'm so happy that finally Rosie's speaking up for you. To me, it's like, what happened? I came on council, and he can tell you, I've had private conversations when I'm like, my God, this is your sister. This is your brother-in-law. Haven't I talked to you personally?
Are we getting personal?
To me, it is personal. So, can I continue, or you're interrupting?
Well, I don't know if it's. Can she attack people of the audience?
I'm not. How am I not attacking
if
them?
that's
I'm
the
saying
case,
I admire.
then the audience should be able to attack back. But
Are you? I'm not sure if you're listening, but I'm saying I admire Rosie and Gomez. I'm not sure if that's being translated right now for supporting you, because yes, if you noticed or viewed any of our council meetings, you know that at one point it was not good. So I believe that removing you from council not only would not be okay with me in that sense, but you are a military man. We just got a cannon, to honor all of our military. And if you've given your life to this country, there's a certain respect that you're endowed in my world. As I've said with, our police officers and fire people that, they demand, they're our representatives. So for that particular reason, I cannot accept a mayorship. And we'll keep them on. But thank you, Barry, so much, and Hank, for the opportunity.
Yeah, so we had a motion to move D1 ahead.
Well, we're still on this subject. The motion was made, it was seconded, it went for kind of a vote. It's denied.
Well, we do need a vote for the minutes. For the record, I'm sorry, Barry.
All right, go ahead, but I have something that's still on this subject.
Right, so.
Discussion doesn't have to be closed yet.
On the motion and the second, the motion is to conduct the reorganization to appoint Councilmember Rios as the mayor. We do need a vote on that. Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Rios?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Bruce?
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez?
No.
Councilmember Tremble?
Yes.
Councilmember Maravilla?
No.
The motion does not pass. Okay. Then it
Okay.
comes back to the council for any further.
On the same issue, I resign as Mayor Pro Tem to Mr. Rodriguez. I will not hold this position, so you can find somebody else to do that.
Well, so what? How do we stand here?
There would need, the resignation takes effect. There would then, if the council wishes to fill the position of Mayor Pro Tem at this time, you may do so. We would need a motion to appoint someone as Mayor Pro Tem.
I motion we leave it vacant.
I think we can. I think we can leave it vacant for a while until we find somebody that would take the position.
NSU.
Wait. He's not resigning from council.
No, I'm just for as a city mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem, so he'll be a council member. He's not going nowhere.
Yeah. No.
Yes. Yeah. So
I thought he was leaving.
No.
No, he's not leaving.
I'm resigning as Mayor
Mr.
Pro
Rodriguez,
Tem.
are you here at the meeting?
Mr. Mayor, if I may recommend, we bring this item for a future agenda for selection or nominations of a Mayor Pro Tem.
That would be, I think, the best approach.
Go
So
ahead.
then that would conclude item number 5.
Okay, so
Well, I'd like to nominate Mariana Rios for Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Councilmember Rios?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bruce?
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilmember Tremble?
Yes.
Councilmember Maravilla?
Sure, why not?
Motion carries.
So motion carries here, and please stay for the contract. We're going to go into D1, which is the contract, the So,
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Okay, I'll provide a staff report. Jeff Duhamel here from Muni Environmental. Jeff, can you come up, please?
Mr. Rodriguez, I'm going to step away. I need a break. Or are you going to call a break, or we're going to continue business?
we need a break. We'll take a 10-minute break.
Sounds good.
Meeting come to order. So now we'll go to item D1. Can I get a report?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. So I'll present tonight on the approval of the municipal the municipal solid waste franchise agreement with Commercial Waste Services. Ramey and Robert are here from the department, as well as Jeff is here from Muni Environmental that can help me answer all your questions. So I'll introduce the item, and then Jeff will get up and speak and present a PowerPoint presentation with some details, and then all of us will be available to answer any questions from the City Council. As you know, the current waste hauler franchise agreement with Republic Services is due to expire on June 30th. On September 21st, the City Council met and discussed a RFP process and provided direction to staff with priorities on what you want in a new franchise agreement, and also to ensure that the new franchise agreement had industry-wide standards and regulations and compliance measures. As you know, the current franchise agreement is well over 20 years old, so it's void of any language related to all of the state compliance as it relates to waste and recycling. On October 2nd, 2017, Muni Environmental was contracted to provide professional services regarding the preparation and administration of a municipal waste RFP. On the 26th of 2018, February, an RFP was released to haulers, and a deadline of April 23rd, 2018 was set. On May 22nd, the City Council considered the proposals submitted by all three of the bidding companies. Muni Environmental submitted a report to the city summarizing the subcommittee's review and scoring analysis. Staff was directed to negotiate a new solid waste and recycling hauler franchise agreement with Commercial Waste Services. The franchise agreement identifies significant detail of the various solid waste and collection and recycling services to be provided. The scope of services contained in the agreement is comprehensive, specific, and tailored to meet the needs of the City of Hawaiian Gardens. The following presentation will have additional details as to specific items in the contract, and again, myself, Jeff, or staff will be available to answer any questions. Jeff?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council, staff, and members of the public. I'm going to do a quick PowerPoint presentation going over some of the things that have been discussed over the last 6-7 months on what the city would require. Is that better? All right, there we go.
It was set to my height. My apologies.
We'll do a quick 7-page, 8-page PowerPoint presentation highlighting the items that were requested by the City Council and the community of things they wanted to see in the new service provider. The franchise general services, obviously we've seen them roll out so far. The new carts and bins to all residents. The bins are still in the process, but my understanding that all the carts have been dropped off at the locations in front of the homes. No rate change in the new agreement for 12 months. So the current pricing that we'll discuss in a few moments is frozen for at least 1 year. All city facilities and events waste services at no cost. So those special events that the city has, including the city yards. Free bulky item pickups multiple times per year. Guaranteed to meet the requirements and diversion rates, and those are prescribed by Cal Recycle, the regulatory compliance based upon different assembly bills and Senate bills. 8-year term contract, payment for costs associated with the RFP process, a performance bond says here of $750,000, but the hauler has agreed to a $1 million performance bond, and must carry a minimum insurance requirements per the agreement. The key service enhancements are a standard new monthly rate of $12.01, low income senior rate of $10.81, Optional organics recycling, and that will be a requirement in the next couple of years, but we're already presenting that and getting the education out, and that's for Senate Bill 1383. Citywide quarterly cleanup program at no charge. 96-gallon automated cart collection system, which you've seen roll out these past 2 weeks. And then there are smaller cart options for those that have difficulty moving the carts, don't need that large of a cart, or perhaps have a narrow gate. The hauler has prepared for those, and they're already in storage, ready to roll out upon request. Following day holiday service and electronic universal waste collection. And that is something that we need to focus on as we remove electronic waste and light bulbs and certain things from the waste stream by law. Holiday tree collection service, and something new, a disabled valet service. And that is if somebody is incapable of moving the trash container out to the curb, that will be free of charge as long as they can provide the information to the city and the hauler. The hauler will come first, pull the containers out to the curb, and replace them after the service. My father's in a wheelchair. He would appreciate that. They don't offer that in Fountain Valley. A mulch giveaway program, and that is obviously from the compostable materials from the green waste. A new education outreach program. A residence job fair. Offer to hire displaced drivers. Community meetings. Community scholarship program of $10,000 annually. And a 70% diversion rate goal. The current requirements by law is 50%, 65% for construction. We have a 75% for construction right now in the agreement, and the goal is 70% citywide. For the multifamily facilities, we have all waste will be processed at a material recovery facility. Optional cart service, if they want to implement certain organics or recycling programs on site, they can also have that opportunity. Sharps collection, we all know sharps. Sharps are needles. Needles don't belong in the trash system. They don't belong at the street. They belong in a proper bin. So that's offered for both the multifamily and the residential community. Of course, electronic and universal waste collection, holiday tree, bulky item collection, and education outreach program. In the commercial sector, we see reduced rates for all service levels from as low as 7% to as high as 30% reduction. Organics recycling, which is a part of a requirement now, AB 1826, that will also be included with the current price. Commercial recycling services, AB 341. Optional MRF processing. If a business refuses to do commercial recycling, then there's an option that they can go ahead and perhaps pay a little more and have it taken to a material recovery facility. A locking bin option, and of course, education outreach program. For the construction and demolition debris, and that would be all construction related from residential to the businesses, all that material will be processed at a MRF. The CalGreen requirement is currently 65%. Most facilities, including the facilities that I believe the commercial waste is proposing, is much higher than 65%. The city service enhancements, no charge for city services. Indemnification from any penalties, fines, or fees that may be set by Cal Recycle for missing any of the goals or implementation of programs. Monthly reporting, that's probably going to need to change to quarterly. We feel that quarterly reporting is a little bit more timely and allows the hauler to put together a better set of information, so we're talking to them about that right now. New franchise fees of 10%. Special event collection services, multi-item collection for city services. Again, Sharps collection, e-waste and U-waste, city-sponsored event signage, and volunteering at city events. The vendor has requested some amendments, and
So
I will
before we
turn it-
move on to that section, if you have questions of Jeff, particular to any of the slides, I think now is an appropriate time for that.
Hi, Jeff. I have a question regarding the organics waste. I know that in your report, your famous report, they indicated that they would be using Oak Tree Worms Farms. My question to you is there an agreement between commercial and Oak Tree Worms Farms? And if there is, do they have enough space and capacity to handle our load?
What we have received so far is a letter from Oak Tree Farms saying that they have capacity and they have full intentions on receiving the waste from Hawaiian Gardens and appropriating the diversion to Hawaiian Gardens. My understanding is also that they are in the process of expanding the facility, but it stops there, and there still needs to be some more work done on that.
Okay, so
So right now, the only business that we have that does that is Hawaiian Gardens Casino, correct?
I would believe that that might be the only one. I know there were only a few.
Has there been an estimate of how much organics waste we're predicting with all the other businesses?
There is not an estimate. However, it is basically based upon the amount of waste produced, and that is changing every year on the volume. So within the next few years, it'll be anybody and everybody in the community, because 1826 and 1383 are going to come together. So all of us in every community will be required residentially and commercially. That will put a burden on the infrastructure. And so it's going to be very important not to take our eye off the ball and watch for expansion and opportunities for the city to at least investigate other options.
So at this time, there is no backup plan other than Oak Tree Worms Farms.
There is another backup plan that has been discussed. The County of Los Angeles will receive organic waste at their facility in Puente Hills. They have a guaranteed diversion rate, and they have a fixed fee for processing.
Okay, thank you. And that's for organics, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Both food waste and green waste.
Green waste. My next question is, I understand that in your report, you also indicated that the tipping fee is a certain amount. And I believe that based on the cost that they'll be collecting from the city, it looks like it's upside down. Is that still the case based on your estimates?
The pricing has not changed. The proposed pricing is what is in the agreement. So the report stands as it is stated.
So at this time, what they will be charging residents, just so the community is clear, is less than what they will be charged to dispose of our trash, which is an unsustainable financial model that will lead to two options: bankruptcy for the company or extreme hikes for you in the future. And I just want that to be very clear.
You going to comment or are you going to remain? Is that?
I'll answer any question.
He answered the question, sir. So if there's no further questions for Jeff, correct? At this point, so as you know, staff was provided direction, and I want to thank Jeff for assisting us in this process, because it's very complicated, very and frankly outside of my expertise.
I do have a question before he leaves, though.
Okay, sorry, Jeff.
I was just looking for the page. I know Ms. Maravilla insists on still looking at this report, even though I believe we moved beyond it. The question at hand is the contract. I'm not sure if she's even read it yet. But can you explain page 15, profit margin ratio?
I do not have the agreement in front of me.
Your report.
I do not have the report in front of me.
CSW receives 1 point because it's the highest profit margin ratio. Republic Services receives 0.9 points because they have the second highest profit margin. CR&R receives 0.8 points because they have the third highest margin. Did you read that part?
I did read that part, and if you continue to read the rest of the report also indicates that the finances that they provided is unsustainable because they refused to provide an audit.
I know you keep focusing on the negative. I know. I'm making sure that you focus on what's important.
So I'm focusing on the facts.
Thank you for being concerned, though, because as a business, I'm sure that they've taken into consideration that they do need to make some money.
So I'm focusing on the facts. I asked Jeff if the financial information that he provided in the report still stands. I asked him if the tipping fee has changed, and he says that at this time, as it is written, what you will be paying customers, and businesses is less than what the company will be paying to dispose of your trash. I'm not a rocket scientist, and I'm not going to pretend to be a math major, but that is not rocket science. Anyone who can do math understands what profit and is and what it isn't. I don't see a profit margin in this scenario. And I did read that they had higher points, but in it said that there's no way that they can confirm that this is even accurate. Why? Because they didn't provide an audit. So I'm basing my decision on facts. I'm basing my decisions on Jeff's company, who are the professionals. I'm not going to pretend that I am a trash hauling professional. Jeff, how long have you been in this industry?
Approximately 30 years by myself.
I am 30 years old. I am 30 years old. He has been doing this as long as I've been alive. It's taken him 30 years to understand how this works, to analyze RFPs, and to give us information. If we're paying that much money, or if the hauler will be paying that much money to Jeff's company, it's because it's well worth it. And we should be considering this, his opinion. So as far as I'm concerned, this company is in the red. They're charging you guys a fee that they cannot sustain. They will be charged more to dispose of the trash than you will be charged right this second. So expect double or triple rates within a year. Okay, so I'm letting you know, as your council member, I read the reports, I asked the right questions, and I'm giving you the facts.
Did you read the binders, all 3 binders, or you're just relying on the report?
I read all 3
because
binders.
At this meeting, you said that you did read all binders, and at the last meeting, you said you didn't. So I'm wondering
At
if
the May 22nd
your comment right now, we can come back later and see what happens.
At the May 22nd meeting, I said that I did not read the binders. Why? I worked late on Monday night, and I received a text message from our city clerk or our executive secretary that the binders were available at 4 p.m. I was not able to come to City Hall that day. And I received,
so you can't even do, okay.
Please,
mind your own business. Stay in your lane.
Wow.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, wow, stay in my lane? What is the,
do not address me.
Where are we driving?
Don't address me. Do not address me.
Where are we driving?
So again, I'm focusing on the community. Estoy enfocada en los miembros de la comunidad. Jeff, I'm going to say it in Spanish and in English, okay? Because we have people that speak both languages. El costo que, please be quiet, Mariana. You're interrupting me.
Excuse me, I'm talking to the mayor, not to you.
Turn off your mic.
Get over yourself.
El costo.
Sorry, you can tell the mayor what to do. You cannot tell me what to do. Get over yourself.
Are you done?
I'm not talking to you, and I was never talking to you.
Can you turn off your mic, please?
No, I cannot. I will. I wasn't talking to him or her.
Okay. Miembros de la comunidad. La información que yo le pregunté a Jeff, que es el miembro del consulto que pagamos $100,000 para el reporte, nos ha dicho ahorita que él confirma y él está con el reporte que él escribió. El reporte que él escribió dice que el costo de disponer y deshacerse de la basura de ustedes cuesta más que el costo que ustedes van a pagar mensual. Cualquier negocio que tiene este modelo financiero va a salir o en bancarrota o va a pedir que ustedes paguen lo doble o lo triple en un año o menos. Yo estoy basando mi decisión en los profesionales. Jeff ha indicado que ha hecho este trabajo por 30 años. Yo tengo 30 años de vida. Entonces yo no voy a decir que yo soy la profesional en estos reportes, en analizar el costo de deshacerse de la basura, el costo de reciclaje, el costo de material orgánico, porque yo no soy la experta. Yo estoy usando los expertos para determinar mi decisión. Y yo solamente les quiero dar la información a ustedes, que eso es lo que él ha indicado, que el costo para deshacerse de su basura cuesta más que el costo que ustedes van a pagar mensual. ¿Ok? Entonces, ya ustedes escucharon del profesional, me escucharon a mí traducir el profesional y ustedes pueden determinar que yo estoy en verdad tratando lo mejor que yo pueda de defenderlos a ustedes para que ustedes no tengan que pagar lo doble o lo triple en menos de un año.
Jeff, do you have a copy of the contract, the one that they're voting on tonight?
It's in your packet.
I am quite familiar with
No,
it.
no,
I
I
have written the reports
Because
and the
I want
contract.
to ask you a question on page 220, the adjustment to disposal component of rates, or the CPI. Can you?
Familiar with it. Thank you.
I just need an explanation on that because it's kind of, I don't understand it now.
So typically in any agreement that I have worked on over these many years, we have different components. Someone handed me one, thank you. We have two different components. It's now changed to many different components. One of them is an operating or collection component, and that is based upon CPI. And then we have what we call a disposal or a tipping fee component. That is built in the $12.01. Typically, it's about 65% operating and about 35% tipping or disposal. Well, those numbers are changing as the cost of tipping increases. So the hauler, Commercial Waste, has agreed to review and support back or give back to the city manager and myself their breakdown. So when it comes time for any rate increase, and by the way, the contract holds for 1 year and no extraordinary rate increases are embedded in the contract. When they do come back, the CPI would only be on the operating or collection component, which is historically about 65% of the rate. And the tipping fee, when the landfill goes up, or when the worm farm, or the green waste, or the MRF moves up, those would be looked at separately, and that's approximately 35% of a typical rate. But we're still waiting and working with Hike and getting that information from him so we can finalize that in the agreement. But they've agreed to supply that information.
So really, we don't have a complete agreement yet.
We will have a completed agreement with very few changes left to be made, no later than Thursday.
So those rates increases, will that will they will automatically get the trash the collection agencies raise their tonnage. So when they do that, which they, like you say, they normally do that throughout the year, I guess, or
it's typically done once a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's on a fiscal year.
So it's not done in between it's just once a year, more or less.
Typically, it's
and
once
that's when
a year.
they come back and ask for a rate increase because of that.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor.
And the percentage would be of the rate increase or the overall cost. For instance, if they're charging us $15 a month and the disposal fees went up $5, they would either charge us the full extra $5 or a percentage of that $5 or the full amount or the percentage of the full amount.
So to make it real simple, let's say the landfill's charging $60 a ton to take waste there, and every resident produces, we'll say, 55 or 65 pounds a week of trash. Of that $12 a month, a portion of it, we'll say 35%, is for landfill. If this goes up 3%, just that landfill component of the 35 would go up 3%. So it wouldn't be if the landfill went up 10, prices go up 10. It's an equal percentage. So if the rate goes up 3% at the landfill, then there would be a 3% tipping fee increase. If CPI increased 2% or dropped 2%, then that's exactly what would happen to the collection component. And that's kind of what happened a couple of years ago in some communities when fuel prices dropped and we were at the kind of the end of recession and interest rates were low. The costs dropped down. So some communities actually saw a reduction in rates.
I had a question with this tipping. Starting July 1st with the new rates from 12 to 20. In the tipping, it'd take how many years to get to $20 an hour? $20 per household. If you start at 12.01, you tip.
Right.
So it'll take about 10 years to get to what they're paying now?
If we just looked at the tipping component, it would be a duration of time, something like that. We would have to see significant CPI increase and significant landfill increases to go from 12 to 20.
So if we're at 20 and we start tipping,
it would continue to
it would
increase
continue to
based
rise
upon
up.
percentages.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Jeff, in your report, I know last time it was a confidential document. It's no longer.
Correct.
You mentioned that the costs or the rates are all unsustainable. That's what you indicated. Aside from the tipping fees, how did you come to the conclusion that the finances for this company are unsustainable?
Well, first off the bat, I have accountants that work in my office, and they did a separate analysis based upon confidential information that was received from each of the proposers. That information was not shared with anyone else in the office or with staff, and it is still locked in my office, the financial reports. I gave it to one person and sat down and reviewed it. He created a spreadsheet and went through an entire matrix based upon accounting norms. His final report and statements in numbers to me was that the company looks like a solvent company. It appears that they have a profit margin where they're currently working in their operations. However, he had a low level of confidence because he did not have support documentation from an audited return or a reviewed return. So there was a little bit of concern there. We then ran the disposal numbers for 2017 that was dropped off at the landfill. There was a very low diversion rate at this time, so we knew that a good percentage of the waste was at the landfill. We took the current landfill rates based upon the number of homes, the information that was supplied to us during the audit for Republic, and we did some mathematical equations. Not removing the franchise fee from the $12, we left it there, just based upon as it was. It had the appearance that that would not cover the green waste and the solid waste disposal fee. And that does not mean that an aggressive recycling program could not divert enough material out of the waste stream that would be destined to the landfill, but based upon 2017 practices, the number did not appear to support the cost for landfilling.
So you said that in the mathematical equations and the analysis by two professional accountants and yourself and the matrix and all these complicated things that it'll take me 30 years to find out and learn if I ever...
Right.
You're saying that in the 1201, you did not remove the franchise fee, correct?
We did not back out the franchise fee.
Okay. I actually have some comments. I don't know if anyone has more questions for Jeff.
Add one more thing on this contract. A lot of these paragraphs, they refer you to attachment B1 and through B4, and I did not see B1 and B through B4 in here.
That was the additional document provided. It should have been one in your packet.
We got it.
Sue, do you have B1 before?
When it was provided just today?
No. This one. Yeah.
Oh, this one. Okay.
Keep that.
Okay. Let's go ahead, Myra.
So before I move on, Jeff, I do have another question. As you know, especially in our commercial spaces, we have one bin where recyclables are mixed in with other items. Do you have an estimate of how much the percentage of items that are contaminated, no longer able to recycle? Is it possible really to get a 70% even though there are contamination rates? Based on your expertise.
Based upon my experience of developing and operating material recovery facilities for the last 20 years, to achieve an overall 70% diversion rate, is considered high in my breadth of experience. To process wet, dirty material, it is unachievable. However, markets dictate what the value of materials are. Right now, the Chinese markets are dictating that the value is very low. So it would require a hauler to be very progressive on outreach and very progressive on working with the community to separate the wet and the dry materials. As organic waste is going to be banned, I believe, between 20 and 25 from the landfill system. When you take the organics out and you take the recyclables out, you don't have anything left. So we're getting there. They have an excellent consultant, Clements Environmental, and so I can't say that it's not achievable, but I can say based upon my experience, it's going to be significant challenge.
So it's not probable.
Based upon today's markets and technology that I've seen, and I've traveled all around the world looking at technologies, it's very difficult unless anaerobic digestion, which is a whole different technology, is introduced into this equation.
Thank you for your expertise.
Yeah.
So I do have some comments for my colleagues. I just passed out a packet of information along with some incident reports. It's really disturbing what I heard. One of our lifeguards come up here. I got some calls over the weekend from residents from our community stating that not just one day, but it was over the course of 2 days. I believe it was either Friday and Saturday. The people that were delivering the bins near and around Leeware Pool were harassing residents in the pool. They were yelling remarks at the kids, yelling remarks at the parents, and pretty much disturbing the peace for the lifeguards, who are obviously on the edge because their job is to make sure that our community is safe in the pool. This is very disturbing to me because I also heard from different lifeguards that they were concerned for the safety of the people delivering the bins, that it looked like a workers' comp situation waiting to happen. So I'm very disappointed with how they behaved. I passed out to my colleagues some of the reports because I did bring this to Ernie immediately as soon as I heard about it. And he did us the courtesy of providing copies of some of the incidents that some of the residents filled out. So I do hope that this is taken into consideration because never in the history that I've been here have I heard of a trash hauler harassing our residents. That's unheard of. Next, I also want to provide some information in the packet that I gave you. In 2016, Commercial Waste Services applied for a proposal with Monterey Park. In the discovery and analysis of their proposal, they basically had a credit rating of 0. So tonight, the City of Hawaiian Gardens is considering a waste and recycling contract with Commercial Waste Services, in which they would be the sole hauler for the City of Hawaiian Gardens for a 10-year period. The city's intent to award such a contract is to provide our residents, you, with the best possible service, as the waste and recycling industry is a critical component to our city's overall health, safety, and environment. Based on the facts, we know that noncompliance with State of California's mandated laws, such as AB 341, mandatory recycling, AB 1826, mandatory organics collection, and SB 1383, food waste and diversion, will put the City of Hawaiian Gardens residents and businesses at risk for financial penalty. Based on the facts, we know that we run the risk of community issues that are associated with improper waste disposal, including diseases, infestations of rodents, and other public health issues. We run the risk of putting our residents and our businesses at risk for significant price increases in the future based on the expert analysis of Muni Environmental. We run the risk of potential fines from the state, potential financial discord, and the likelihood of missed pickups and the associated health impacts. Commercial Waste Services sits on a very shaky financial ground, as documented by Dun and Bradstreet, which is a report provided to my colleagues about the credit rating in 2016 when they applied to serve Monterey Park, and by the city contracted independent analysis done by Muni Environmental. It is unclear if Commercial Waste Services has the infrastructure to accomplish the duties as put forth in the city's RFP. The proposal collection rates are artificially low, as they don't cover the cost of the tipping fee, and Commercial Waste Services proposal scores significantly lower than the applications submitted by Republic Services and CR&R, respectively. Of the 17 categories that Muni Environmental used to score the applications, Commercial Waste Services scored last in 14 of 17 categories, including experience and qualifications, work plan and methodology, equipment, employee safety, ability to implement and transition, customer service, insurance information, and their financial statement. Commercial Waste Services has lied to Hawaiian Gardens. They stated that they have never been sued by a jurisdiction when this is categorically false, which I also provided my colleagues with that information. I demand to know why this hauler has lied to us. As a reminder, the RFP was released on February 26, 2018, and final proposals were submitted by April 23, 2018. On May 22nd, Mariana, Barry, and Hank voted to keep the Muni Environmental Report confidential, so you would not hear the information in it. In this report, Commercial Waste Services scored significantly lower than the other two applicants. Taken from the Muni Environmental Report on page 21, it reads, the CWS processing component, disposal, and MRF is drastically higher, meaning they will pay more to get comparable service compared to CR&R and Republic Services. In addition, Commercial Waste Services disposal component costs alone are 16.40% more than 100% of the proposed rates they are charging the residential customers. This would be less troublesome if Commercial Waste Services commercial revenue could offset the residential revenue shortfall. However, their commercial revenue is drastically lower than Republic Services and CR&R. It's 32% lower. The consultant is concerned and that less commercial revenue teamed with higher processing costs will leave very little remaining operating income for all non-disposal operating costs. While Commercial Waste Services financial statement suggests their income model is profitable, the proposed rates for the City of Hawaiian Gardens does not appear to support that claim. This is directly from the experts. Additionally, from this report, the major item the consultant deems important to consider is whether the very low rates proposed by Commercial Waste Services are sustainable. The facility tipping fees for residential solid waste and green waste, which is about $346,000, is about $48,000 per year higher than the total residential revenue of their proposed rates would generate, which is about $297,000. That means that off the bat, their costs are $48,000 more than what they're going to receive in fees from you guys. This further underscores that CWS's rates are artificially low and unsustainable and will either need to be increased in the future or, in a worst case scenario, could put the company at risk of bankruptcy. In 2016, Commercial Waste Services applied to haul for the City of Monterey Park, as I previously discussed. Their complete application is available per PRA and gives the company history and details, including other franchise experience. The Monterey Park application includes a detailed DNB report on CWS finances. DNB rated CWS in the highest risk class for delinquency, worse than 95% of businesses, high risk of severe payment delinquency over the next 12 months. DNB also puts CWS in the highest risk class for suppliers experiencing financial stress. DNB put CWS in the highest risk class with regard to credit and recommends a credit limit of 0. DNB gave an overall viability score of 7, where 9 is the highest risk. This score indicates a high to moderate risk and a 27% chance of no longer being viable, about twice the national average. DNB awarded CWS the highest risk score of 9 out of 9 in its portfolio comparison. Similar to this application that CWS submitted to Hawaiian Gardens, they falsely claimed no litigation with public agencies and no regulatory compliance problems. However, this is not true. As documented by a successful suit brought on by the City of Pasadena in 2008 and by Los Angeles County Disposal Association in 2007. CWS has been party to at least 24 lawsuits, mostly as defendants. Many of these are small claim suits, while several others are regular civil suits. They have been sued by insurance companies, suppliers, competitors, and customers. And in LASAN's February 2018 CalRecycle Progress Report, Ware Disposal reported that they could no longer reach an agreement with CWS to transition service for approximately 60 accounts. According to the report, CWS currently remains active and provides unauthorized collection services. In addition, Aaron Petrosian, their son, who is also, it seems, part of this company franchise, was connected to a voter fraud scandal in Montebello in 2010. After Montebello awarded a 150-year contract to Athens in 2008, Petrosian helped fund a recall election. His subsequent voter registration in Montebello came under scrutiny. Due to these findings, I am requesting that we negotiate a one-year contract extension with Republic Services and disqualify commercial waste services like all other cities have. If they are not suitable for other cities, such as the city of Norwalk, city of Artesia, and city of Monterey Park, and many other cities that I'm sure I did not have enough time to research, they shouldn't be suitable for other cities like ours. I recommend that we select CR&R or Republic Services and negotiate a final contract with one of them. I would also like to add again that I'm so deeply alarmed by the information shared by my colleagues, by my residents, that I shared with my colleagues just now. It is extremely unacceptable that our community members are being bullied when they are just enjoying Leeward Pool on the weekend. In addition, I also received information that one of the members from CWS, delivering carts, talked to one of our employees, our public safety officers, and asked them if they wanted to work for the company. I have a couple of questions about that. How does CWS hire staff? Do they just roll down their windows and ask random people to work for them? Do they even have HR guidelines when they hire people to work for their company? Where are the company's safety standards? Furthermore, who will be driving the trucks? Because as you all know, any type of accident with a pedestrian in one of those trucks does not mean a broken arm. It means death. Are we going to be the guinea pigs? Who will be responding to our calls? Most disturbing of all is, again, how I said, the unprofessional behavior that this company has already showed and proven to be. I do demand that our HR office investigate the matter of the children being harassed at Leeward Pool, because our residents and our children are at the forefront of everything that I do here on City Council. All of you are my number one priority, and I take pride in that. I truly hope that my colleagues reconsider the actions that they took on May 22nd to negotiate a final contract with CWS. I do hope that my colleagues value the safety and well-being of our residents enough to hire a sustainable company with a proven track record. You, Hawaiian Gardens, you deserve the best. And I will always fight for you and for what is right and best for you and our children. I ask that my colleagues disqualify CWS from bidding in the future and that we move forward with one of the other two trash haulers. Thank you.
And I ask again, Ms. Maravilla, did you read the contract that we're about to sign tonight?
I did read the contract.
So do you see all the protections that are in here for all your questions?
My job.
Or you're not
is
bringing
to-
that up right now?
Don't talk to
There's a
me.
shadow
Talk
like
to
that.
the professionals.
You're bringing all these allegations.
Please, all right.
I have a question for the professional. Can you step back up, sir? Have you contacted Cal Recycle in your findings of all three companies?
No, sir.
Okay, let me ask this. Who outweighs who? You or Cal Recycle? Who has the final word?
In which process are we speaking of?
In determining if a company is keeping up with state law.
Cal Recycle is the enforcement agency and regulatory agency for compliance for state law, not me.
Okay, and did you ask them or inquire from them about any of these three companies?
I stuck only to the RFP standards and guidelines. I did not do any private investigation or outside of that scope. No, sir.
Thank you.
Again, Ms. Maravilla is just inciting rhetoric and fear. Mr. Hernandez, what protections are there in here for our city as the contract was developed?
So at the May 22nd meeting, you, the City Council, provided staff a direction to negotiate a final contract with terms and conditions acceptable to the city, and more specifically in this case, outlined in the RFP. In those negotiations and speaking to the vendor and working together with Jeff, we let them know that because of the concerns and a lot of the issues involved, there would be several protections in the city. So the contract, Jeff can speak to, the city attorney reviewed it and can speak to it, but it does have a lot of protections there in the event that essentially the vendor cannot do what they're committed to doing. To include a monetary amount of money put aside in the form of a bond to immediately move on, service somebody else if we have an issue. You, the City Council, provide direction to staff. We as staff will do everything that to the best of our ability as far as to protect the city and do those contracts in the best interest of the community. So I will say, though, that a lot of what's in the contract, all of the haulers would have been responsible for. The negotiations since then, and frankly, there still needs to be some final kind of tweaking of language, because to be fair to the vendor, and this would have been whoever you picked because of the timeline involved, we sent them the draft contract on Friday. We've been negotiating and meeting practically every day between the city attorney, Jeff, and I on finalization of the contract, because we have a very specific deadline of July 1. So the contract right now in material is basically what you're going to be authorizing for my signature. There's still finalization of certain terms and conditions, but none of those are material.
Now, you've already answered the question that the city attorney has reviewed this contract. Has the hauler agreed to these particular items in the contract?
So all of the major items have been agreed to. We are, as Jeff kind of pointed out, there's certain language that we still need to figure out. We can be specific about what that is. But basically, none of it is material. In other words, none of it changes the major terms and conditions of the contract. It's 30 days versus 15 days, those kind of things, versus how individual language is kind of viewed. We want to clarify it, very similar to any other contract. And this process is also not atypical. In other words, I'm often given direction from you to enter into agreement. The next item on the agenda is the engineering contracts.
Correct.
Very similar. You give me direction, we negotiate terms and conditions. That final contract is then put on a future agenda where you can either A, modify it further, or B, throw it out altogether. But this is the typical process. We just so happen to be talking about the two major, outside of the contract with the sheriff's deputies, typically trash hauler and engineering services are the next two biggest contracts for most cities.
Okay, so if there's no other comments, I'd like to motion that we approve the contract.
I'd like to make a comment. First of all, the kind of research that you did on, or you say that you did anyway, on commercial, I did on Republic and CR&R. And boy, I could bring a crap load if I wanted to. That was one of the reasons we wanted to make all of that confidential, because we had told the trash companies that we would make things confidential so that we wouldn't have a long, lengthy, drawn-out thing on tit for tat on every single group that applied. But nonetheless, you did it anyway. You know, and Myra, based on what you wrote about me and my colleagues in your so-called press release, your obvious lies about why we did this and that, I don't believe one word of your report because you're not a believable person. And so I look forward to a long professional relationship with Commercial Waste that we have a very protective contract with. And again, assure the people in the public, if there's a problem like she's talking about, the contract is null and void and we move on. All right? I mean, this is just ridiculous. This is just nitpicking again. We're going on and on and on because they didn't get the choice they wanted. Again, and it comes down to bigger is better. Yep, that's what they think. I don't agree that bigger is better. We're not the largest city. We're the smallest city in the United States. If a trash company cannot handle us, they got no business being a trash company at all. I mean, think about it. And we're making a great savings. You know, come on, if you're talking about deaths, I can tell you deaths in the reports on the other two groups. I don't have any deaths listed on Commercial. I don't want to bring a trash company into our city that already has deaths on their record of people that were ran over and killed or people that were hit. Commercial does not have a record of running over anybody or crushing anybody in one of their bins, okay? I like that personally. I don't know about you, but when somebody, if something horrible like that was to happen in our city, I don't want the people coming to me and saying, why did you pick people that already had deaths on their records? Nah, I don't want that. So I think sometimes smaller is better. And in this particular case, the savings is better for us. The customer service is better. And I don't know what she's talking about here. And honestly, I just don't believe the stuff that she's pouring out today. I just don't. Because this is her MO. This is what she does to get what she wants. But I had a couple of people come to me and say how happy they were with the service that they got. I had one lady tell me, hey, I called because I was asking about some service options, and an actual person answered the phone instead of a recording. I was delighted, and the person was so nice to me. I met at one of the trash haulers, and they were very nice, very obliging. I like the trash cans better. Personally, I don't know how you guys feel about them, but I think they're a lot less bulky. I think they're much neater looking. I like them. I mean, I'm a resident here too. And quite frankly, Republic, we've had them for years, folks. I've had many problems with Republic, and I've been complained to by our public about the problems with Republic. So, look, I think smaller is better. I really do. And that's one of the reasons I picked Commercial, and not the only reason. So I look forward to their professional relationship. Some think that Commercial is unethical or foolhardy business. I know better than that. We who voted for them know better than that. And I think the community, you will see, give them a year, watch. No one's going to be here in a year complaining, I guarantee you. It's just going to go away because it was a good choice. She won't tell you that in a year, but it will be a good choice, and you'll see. I have confidence.
I want to be clear that no one has to believe the words that I'm saying because the words that I'm saying are not my opinion. The words that I'm saying are the opinion and the analysis and the professional dissection of Muni Environmental that has over 30 years of experience combined with their other members of their company. The information that I provided, you don't have to believe me. This is information provided by the consultant that did the credit reporting in Monterey Park. You don't have to believe me. I don't state opinions, I state facts. I don't tell people how I feel about things, I state how I see it and how it is. I'm not making up lies that Commercial omitted that they were sued by a company or a city. They lied to us. They indicated in the proposal that they have never been sued. You don't have to believe me. You can request a copy from our city clerk and read it yourself. In fact, you don't have to believe me that the information that I provided about City of Pasadena and one of the agencies from Los Angeles County is correct. I can give you the exact case number. You can see me after the council meeting and I can give you the case number. I'm not here to try and blindside you. I'm not here and try and feed you false information. I'm here to give you the facts. And I believe that all of you deserve to know what I know, because this is how I'm basing my decision. And that's all.
Are you telling the residents that what was posted on your Facebook page about me and two other members is fact?
The press release and the other blogs and information that I posted.
They're a bunch of rumors and fears.
The information that I posted may not look favorable to you or to my colleagues, and that is not my fault. I compile information.
I need to see the facts of what you're stating.
I put the information in
Yeah,
one
show us the facts of your accusation. We want to see the facts. And it is your fault. You wrote it.
We're violating.
And it's his fault because he put his name on it.
Hey, will you please, everybody, calm
So I don't
down
know
here?
how you're trying to...
It is not my fault. It is not my fault if all the facts about Union Environmental, of all the facts that I'm presenting to you, of the facts of the legal complaints provided by members of our community and staff members about being harassed by this company, it is not my fault that all these facts put together make CWS look bad. That is not my fault. My job is to represent you. My job is to give you the information that I have, because you deserve to know the truth. Now, if my colleagues want to call me a liar, call me a woman that creates rumors, that's on them. I'm giving you the information as it's presented to me.
It's a clear fact to me that that is the truth.
Let's continue on here. I have one question. Did Commercial propose some new changes on this contract? Are they proposing some changes, some language changes, or?
Yeah, so through our discussions, there's been a variety of changes. I mean, at this point, I don't know, Jeff, if you can describe them in general. There was quite a bit, most of them, again, because of the way the RFP was written, most of the material and most of the substantial terms of the contract really were not negotiable because for two reasons. One, they were part of the RFP, and two, given this process in particular, Commercial Waste Services was made aware of the city's intent to put quite a bit of requirements in there to ensure safety nets for the city. So most of the language that's been changed, it's been just that, specific language changes to different provisions of the contract. I think Jeff can summarize it. Jeff, part of his contract included drafting the final contract, assisting with negotiation, and between myself, the city attorney, and Commercial Waste Services, implementing those conversations and those negotiations into the contracts before you today.
So those are the amendments that they're proposing?
Right. So I want to address your question first, Jeff. If you could just provide a summary of the type of changes. Again, the city attorney provided a red line document, but in general, can you summarize, and then we'll get to this, and I'll kind of describe that process. Okay.
The original agreement that was contained in the RFP was accepted by all of the proposers except for very minor things. One of them is how the CPI increase is handled. After the council approved the hauler and suggested that we go into negotiations, there was a ratcheting up of a safety net. In that process, we wrote a number of new items, including liquidated damages and breach issues on what is a breach and how a breach is going to be managed. It was then forwarded to the city attorney. They made significant input on how to make sure that was worded properly. But during that process of the going back and forth with the attorney's office, we sent a draft copy to CWS. They saw significant changes and requested to understand why those changes were being implemented, and they felt that some of them might have been a little too harsh. They gave us a 7-page response. After reading through that 7-page response and speaking with Hike directly today and the city manager, most of what they were concerned about, those elevated items, needed to come down slightly. But it is still a stronger agreement, and there are more protections and a shorter leash in that agreement that is sitting before you now than what was in the original RFP. Hike has been very easy to work with. He just does not want to be run over and not have a voice, and I respect him on that. And so when he says we would like to have at least 30 days to correct any problem, I think that is fair. Giving somebody no time to correct a problem and calling them in breach isn't good for the community, for anybody. It's a part of negotiating. We put something in there, they come back, we find a fair and a decent compromise that the city still gets safeguards that they want, as well as the hauler understands what's expected of them. And they have been very easy to work with, and we have agreed to 99%. There's very few things that still need to be worked on, and that's why I believe that if you give the city manager direction based upon what we have there and what you might hear from the hauler, we are that close to getting something finalized that gives the city all the protections that the city wants, including an increase in the performance bond from $750,000 to $1 million. So that performance bond will sit there, and if there was ever a problem, and if there was a breach, and the 30 days or 35 or 40 days go by and it's not corrected, the council can then make action. So I think it's a good agreement, and I think the folks at CWS would agree that the city is well protected.
And just to add, again, these were above and beyond what was in the RFP, which is essentially industry standard. But frankly, recognizing some of the issues that have been brought to staff up to this point. So it's trying to strike that balance. And I think the attorney can speak to, again, how this is a typical part of the process with regards to finalization of agreements. So,
I'd like to make a call for the question.
Mr. Councilmember Bruce, long night, sorry. Before we do that, there is 2 components in that negotiations that I was not comfortable in finalizing and under my authority that you provided. Both of those proposals are before you now. If I can ask Hike to come up, he can present to City Council. The City Council can make a decision on those 2. Those 2, along with the cleanup language, will be a part of the final agreement, depending on the direction the council provides on these 2 specific items. Hike.
Thank you very much. During the implementation process, I supervised a lot of employees that were out there delivering bins. We talked with residents, we talked with business owners. Most, I would say 99.9% of the residents and business owners of Hawaiian Gardens were very pleased at the new containers and the decrease in costs. There were some issues, or concerns, I should say, not issues. There was 3 main concerns that residents and businesses had. Number 1, everyone's well aware of bulky items, abandoned items throughout the city, which is already addressed in the contract. I assured them, starting July 1st, we would remediate all bulky items. All they have to do is call the dedicated 800 number, and we would remediate all bulky items from, public right-of-ways in front of their houses or businesses. The second concern was rate increases. They were told that the rates were low and that there would be dramatic increases within months of us getting the contract. We had negotiated, or I proposed a negotiation for the CPI increases, and it would allow a 2-year lock rate. So those rates that your businesses and residents have will be guaranteed for 2 years.
Can you explain to the public what CPI is?
Consumer Price Index. And it's kind of a mix of what the cost of living is. So if a gallon of milk costs $2 today and $3 tomorrow, that percentage increase would be they take the percentage, and that would, the cost of living would go up, so that gets fixed into the rates.
So it's like a cost of living increase.
It's like a cost of living increase, but in the waste industry, it's kind of a hybrid of, like Jeff said, it's weighted for landfill costs, for fuel costs, for employment costs, for various costs, but it's fixed. If it's set for 35%, if the weight for landfill is 35%, I can't turn around tomorrow and change it to 50%. It doesn't work that way. It is whatever the term of the contract is, and it's weighted to my certain costs. So that was the first concern, was the rates would go up within a few months, few days, whatever was being said out there. It's just rumors, because the original contract had a 1-year rate lock. This would lock you guys in for 2 years. The third concern, and a council member actually was walking with me when this concern was brought up the first time, but this was brought up multiple times, was parking. The residents in Hawaiian Gardens have issues with parking, and they said on trash pickup days, it's just disastrous, because there's trash bins everywhere, and now there's 3 trash bins, because you have the green waste one, the recycling one, and the trash one, and it's just, where do you put it? The gentleman was saying he puts it in his driveway, but then when he gets home, he has to move them, or when he gets out, he's always moving trash bins, and everyone's kind of moving trash bins all around. It's kind of like musical chairs. So we came up with a creative, hopefully, solution to this, which would have odd number days and even number days, and odd number days would get different trash pickups than even number days. So theoretically, you would have half the number of trash cans out in the street on your trash pickup day. So if Hank and Reynaldo lived across the street from one another, hypothetically, Reynaldo would get a pickup on Tuesday and Hank would get a pickup on Wednesday. So that would alleviate 50% of the trash bins throughout the city. So we're just trying to come up with creative ways to fix the 3 concerns that most of the residents had.
I have a question. I've never heard of the musical chairs with the bins, and we've always had 3 bins, so I'm not sure.
Actually, and Ramey and Robert could correct me, but the city purchased the recycling bins about 10 years ago. And then the 3rd bin are not provided by the waste hauler. They're provided by the homeowners. So many people just have a bin, or we noticed a lot of people were just putting green waste in their trash, and they were just throwing it away because they didn't provide their own container.
Would you be willing to lock in a rate and cap it at 5% annually, extending past 1 and 2 years? Because what I'm afraid of is that the 2 years is going to expire, and you're going to increase it by more than 5%.
So just to be, the way CPI usually works, it fluctuates, and I think and correct me if I'm wrong, council member, what you're saying is that fluctuation could never exceed 5%.
That's correct. Over the life of the contract.
I need to do a little bit of an analysis on. I don't think that should be an issue. Typically, CPI does not exceed 5%. It's very abnormal for CPI to exceed 5%.
But I'm saying to lock in the rate,
Actually,
regardless of CPI, to never increase any rate.
I'm going to defer to. Can I ask Jeff real quick? Jeff?
And just to add to your, when this issue came up, my recommendation to you was going to be just that, to add a cap, as we normally would do with other fluctuating kind of costs or guarantees, is you want to put some kind of cap on it to ensure that the city has some level of control and some level of planning. I think 5% is a more than appropriate number. I think, I can consult with Jeff now. Or you could also give me discretion to negotiate the final terms, but
I definitely want to see a cap for the life of the term of the contract.
Myra, I actually think 5% is fair. Is there any way we could just get back to the office and do a little analysis when the last time 5% CPI has...
Not CPI, just...
In general?
Lock the rate.
Uh-huh.
And the increase will never exceed 5% over the life of the contract.
Oh, over the life of the contract,
Over
in
the
10
life
years.
of the contract. So meaning every year, it can never exceed more than 5%, ever.
Oh, I think I could agree to that. I think that would be fair.
And the reason she's saying that, I'm sure, is because Republic was planning to increase the rates 5% every year without city council approval. So I'm not sure if that's where she's getting the information from.
So let me clarify this proposal because it is different. So the contractual CPI, as presented right now, and Heidi can correct me because we had conversations about this, so is a 2-year rate lock with an automatic CPI based on the terms that are industry standard, and now not to exceed 5%, which is different from having to come back every year and ask you for an increase.
I mean, we would still have to approve it. It's just that what we're approving or it's coming forth to us will never exceed 5%.
Well, that's the caveat. I was locking the rates for 2 years for an automatic increase.
I just don't feel comfortable anything being automatically increased. I would feel comfortable with locking in the rates, doing a CPI for 2 years. But after that, I don't want you guys to come back or any hauler to come back and say, okay, next year we're going to increase your rates by 10% or something like that. I want to make sure that we had a cap.
I want to make sure I'm clear, because if CPI over the course of the contract increases beyond 5%, which is CPI, which is the cost of doing business for any company, then
it's annually.
5% annually.
Not.
You're saying 5%
Yeah.
annually. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought over.
But again, I do want to be real clear about, so what is in the contract is a 12-month rate lock with CPI based on industry terms, coming back to City Council for approval annually, as is in the current contract. The alternative proposal by the vendor is a 2-year rate lock with CPI based on industry standards as an automatic, and usually we would pick a date, July 1, that kind of thing. It's normally how it's done. And the only thing that's changed is that Hike has agreed to right now is never to exceed 5% over the terms of the contract.
Well, I mean, it's coming through for council approval, right? And
Right.
whichever council is approving it at then would be representing the residents at that time. So I would say just continue with that.
Okay. I just want to be clear about what we're
Council
doing.
approval. Yep.
And then the other item is multiple day pickup, which means now we would again still have to finalize the route and the maps, and we'd have to educate the public on what those days were. But if you wanted to approve,
I'm not sure if I would approve that because I know as residents we're used to everything getting done in one day. But I could see how, since our city has such a problem with parking, and I know that on trash day a certain portion of the parking is taken up. I mean, it's during the day, so it doesn't really affect me, but doesn't affect me as it doesn't affect everybody else. So I'm not sure about, doing it a 2-day. But I know that the residents would probably benefit because of the parking issue. It would just be a matter of doing things differently.
I'm definitely not in favor of this. I don't want to see trash bins scattered throughout the city every day of the week. It's just, no. We've always been used to everything getting picked up in one day. And it's during the day that things get picked up, not at night or anything like that. So I think it's fine the way it is. I don't want to impose this on the residents.
Let me speak, please, because I was there with them. And what happened was, in Hawaiian Gardens, the streets aren't all wide. Mm-hmm. And on the smaller streets with cars on both sides, people were putting their cans on the outside of the car on both sides, and that would leave barely room for cars to get through. So the suggestion was, if we eliminated no parking for one day on that side, cans could go on that side, and they'd be picked up. And then the next day, they'd switch. They could park there, and cans would go on this side.
I mean,
that was the idea, because on some certain streets, they're so narrow, and then with cans there, there's only one
I
car.
live
to go.
on one of those really narrow streets,
Yeah.
and I've
Yeah.
had a lot of people ask me, why don't you just do 2 different days? I've been asked that for years. I think it's a good idea, but I don't want to see it happen while the transition is going on, because I think the transition in and of itself is going to be, very scrutinized, obviously. So I would like to see it as something that we incorporate a little bit later on after things get, normal. Once you as our hauler are continuing to haul and you're used to the routes and stuff, then I'd like to see something like that happen.
Honorable
I do
Mayor,
think it's a good idea.
Member City Council, so just to add some context, because again, we've talked about these issues for 4 days or so. I mean, we've moved on a pretty fast pace, but part of, again, like the caveat that you presented, I was going to say that too, in this case, was just that a transition period of 30 to 90 days to educate the public, give people maps, all that kind of thing. Whatever you decide, if this is something you want to do, I mean, I'm not saying that's something you should do, but if this is something you got to do, it's got to involve a pretty good public outreach component. And what we talked about is providing maps, days, the hotline, providing information on the city website. I can tell you that in different cities that I've been, usually the city will produce a street sweeping day, then a trash day that has what days are good. For example, some holidays, so Christmas, no street sweeping, no trash. But some holidays you'll have street sweeping but no trash, or vice versa. So.
Yeah, I mean, on my street, we put them out the night before, most people, because obviously it comes up by really, really early. So, yeah.
I don't know how long ago they were referring to, but a lot of the residents said some time ago that it wasn't always once a week. There was a period where it was multiple times, but your residents have very good memories. They were bringing up Cesena.
Cesena.
When I was telling them about the family-owned business, they were bringing back the memories of the old hauler who they had very good experiences with, like 25 years ago. So I don't know.
I can see my concern in terms of, the opposition that, if for some reason the residents don't get their trash picked up the day of and they put them out because we're used to 1 day pickup, that they'll be like, why hasn't the trash been picked up?
And
that'll give us the time to hear from the residents more in terms of 2 days or 1 day. It seems reasonable to me, but that's not an issue.
Yeah, I think I shared safety concerns, being that you guys have never held a city franchise and you guys, don't have that level of, I don't feel comfortable basically with safety, right? I would feel more comfortable not having trucks in our city more than once a week.
I understand. We've serviced the city of Malibu. I've said it a couple times, and it was in the RFP or in the proposal I submitted. It would reduce the amount of time that trucks are traveling through the streets during the day. So the trucks would be off the road earlier, which would avoid children coming home from schools, stuff like that. So you would the routes would get done earlier, so it would actually be safer for children because they wouldn't be walking home with trash trucks because they would already be done with their
I don't feel
school.
comfortable making a decision on this tonight. I would definitely have to look into it.
Actually, the traffic or the parking it's not gonna solve the parking problem because you have streets that they all have cars. Both sides are full. Now, where are this side of the street, where are they going to park their cars when the owners of this side of the street have their whole side already full? Where are these people going to park their vehicles at?
Well,
the next block or what?
No, it's going to be half as inconvenient as it is currently. Currently, they're doing something. They're putting their cans out.
And having trash cans on the street every day of
2 days
of the week, according to that, is just except for Thursday.
Well, that's our
so that's Monday to.
No, it's only going to be 2 days, odd on Wednesday.
We were doing 4 days.
No, the mayor's correct.
But it was going to
be 4 days.
Well, but each section of the city would be 2 days. Yeah, so we'd split the city in half. Well, actually, it's the area closest to City Hall has the highest concentration. So west of Norwalk, Boulevard south of Carson would be Section A, and then the rest of the city would be Section B. So one section would have, Monday, Tuesday, and the other section would have Thursday, Friday. We can't do Thursday because that's street sweeping throughout the city, and
we actually checked into changing our street sweeping contract to modify, and the cost would be too much. So I offered if he paid for it, I might do.
They were talking about street sweeping on 2 different days as well because of the parking issue.
And just to, 'cause somebody mentioned it, so we're not prohibiting parking on either side on these different days. It's just technically we would alleviate parking if there was more parking available, but parking is still permitted on trash days no matter where. So
No, of course. People move the bins as to where they can park.
and we would give some sort of leeway as far as transition. So the first 30 or 60 days, we would service containers that are left out on the wrong day, just to assist them with a notice telling the resident, if they continue on doing this, they may miss pickup. But we don't want to leave residents, if they while they're getting adjusted to the new day, we don't want to leave residents without getting trash service.
So if a resident on one side of the street forgot one day, they could park
Put it
their
on
trash on the
across
other
the
side of the
street. They
street
could. Yes,
the
they
next
could.
day.
Well, I have a question, not
Yes.
related to this. What type of training do you have with your employees before they go out in the field? And do you guys train them to yell at children at pools?
I was unaware of that. If you could get me the date and time frame of when that occurred. We have video monitors on all of our vehicles. Every vehicle that is operated in the city of Hawaiian Gardens has a DVR with a recording system that records everything. So we did also hire a third party to implement services, which is completely standard during transition. 99% of the industry, when they're doing a transition, they don't do 100% of it in-house. They hire a third party company to come in the system. So, if it was one of our employees, we would have video documentation, and that driver would be terminated that day.
Will the truck drivers and everyone else working for your company be hired by you, or will they be a third-party hire?
No, it's just because of the transition. It's because of the transition process that there was a third party. We had close to, I want to say, 16 employees working this transition. So it's an influx of employees that we have to hire on a quick basis, and it's a short time frame. So they travel city to city, and that's all they do. As far as a third party, they just implement services. So they were in Texas 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. They were in California. I don't know where they're at now, but there's only 4 companies, and actually this was a reputable company, and they had a good reputation. So I don't know if you're referring to one of my employees or you're referring to a third party, but definitely if it was one of my employees, all of our vehicles have the third eye camera system, and it records the front of the truck, so out view. It records the driver view, and it also records audio.
And then my follow-up question was, as I mentioned earlier, the bins, the commercial bins for my complex, my condo complex, and all the other ones that I've seen are standing on a driveway, not secured to any tree, not secured to any gate.
If you could give me
I
the
have a
address.
question. And then they don't look new. Are they new? Because it looks like they were painted on top of an old bin.
All the containers are either new or refurbished, meaning they have new lids, they have new wheels, they have new paint, and they have new bottoms.
So they're not necessarily new.
No.
Okay.
What is your complex? So I could.
It's off of Belshire.
Belshire and.
Yeah.
I'll give you the address.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
And can you also make sure that he receives the timestamps on these and the
He'll be provided.
locations? And I'm interested to hear feedback on these. And if they're not real reports, I really want to know.
Oh, and to answer your question, my dad, myself, and a couple supervisors hire all drivers that would come into the city of Hawaiian Gardens. We've been out there. We've been very visible. We've spoken to Republic drivers. All of them were very respectful. They were all great guys. We offered every driver that was working in the city, if they would be displaced from their job, because we don't want anyone to lose their job, that they would have an open position at our at our shop. And most of them said that because it's only Wednesdays, that they only service the city on Wednesdays, so they have their job is secure, and that they would be placed in other cities. But that was the last thing we wanted to do, was displace any working person.
Did you? Will your company be offering like same pay, same benefits if you did hire services?
So we offer similar pay. We offer our benefits are unmatched by most of our competitors. We offer Kaiser Platinum for employees, their spouses, and all their children under 26 years old, and it's paid completely by us. Most companies, employer pays 85%, the employee pays 15%. 100% of that is paid by us. And it's Kaiser.
But the short answer is no. It's not the same. It's not the same, right?
Well, in a lot of cases, it's better. So
okay.
Yeah, and then we offer 401k. We offer a lot of benefits. We have drivers that have been with us for 30 years. They know me as a little toddler walking around. They, in fact, have their sons working for us. We have many people where they, like families, like brothers will work for us. Brother, sister team will work for us because we offer good benefits, so they bring in their family.
I guess there's nothing left but take a vote as soon as Barry gets back.
And Mayor, may I recommend that you vote on the two separate items to include? Mr. Attorney, just to clarify on the next step in the process, can you inform City Council?
Attorney, I'm sorry.
So with council direction on the contract, on any of the proposed amendments, what would be the next steps? Just so that you're clear.
Sorry. Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if the council approves any of these two amendments, then you would be giving direction to the city manager and city attorney, and that upon the language being finalized on those two terms, that they would be included in the contract. So you're approving the contract in substantially the form as presented tonight, subject to those two changes.
If the multiple day pickup doesn't work out, can we come back and change that, or is it just final for the next 10 years?
Are you okay with negotiating basically a zipper type clause in there about review at a year of implementation or something like that?
We could work something out. I'm open to that.
Okay. So what I would recommend is something within a 90-day period and with the zipper clause, which we'll finalize with the city attorney and with the vendor.
All right, so I guess we're going to make a motion to accept this contract with the amendments, or do we vote on the amendments first and then the contract, or the other way around, vice versa? How do you want?
Well, I would suggest taking those two amendments separately in case there's any issue, and then if they both pass, then you can vote.
So shall we do the amendments first and the contract second, or vice versa?
The amendments first and then the contract second.
So I have a motion.
I make a motion to approve number 1, but it would have to be with the rate lock for the longevity of the contract.
And it's a 5% maximum.
Not to exceed. Yeah, and we would have to still approve every year.
That's the motion.
It's a motion. I'll second that.
We would need a roll call on that.
Councilmember Bruce?
I stepped out, so is that a term that's acceptable to our hauler?
Yes, 5%. I was looking at some
Okay.
of the rate increases for tipping fees, and 5% seems
All right.
amenable. And I did some calculations as well. So if there was a 5% increase for 10 years, or for 8 years, it would be lower than any of the other bids that you guys received. So even at the end of the life of the contract, you would still pay less than what the original bids were for the other two haulers.
It seems to me that there needs to be more discussion in that, so you will be completely sure that that's something that can be done. I don't want you to commit and then come back and change it, and with the residents, we have to go through it all over again. So you don't need more time to agree to that? 5% lock?
It's 5% or CPI, whichever's, not to exceed.
So how would that work if I come back tomorrow? Like,
I would recommend you negotiate with him, and
Yeah,
then
I
we
think-
address the matter at a later time.
I think you
Okay.
give me authority to negotiate. If there's a substantial difference in terms and conditions that I don't feel is appropriate, I would bring back City Council.
Yeah, that would be my recommendation as well.
So the vote is on the first proposed amendment, which is the 5% annual increase cap. And that was a motion, a second, and we're doing roll call.
But-
And now it's to allow Ernie Hernandez to negotiate on our behalf.
And
So it's an amendment to the amendment?
Yep.
I mean, amendment to the motion?
No, because I made it, so I
Yes.
can change it.
So did you amend it?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
So can you repeat the motion again?
City Clerk?
Well-
I'm not clear what the motion is.
The motion is to accept the first one, contractual CPI, with a 2-year lock, but not to exceed 5% in the term of the contract.
Annually.
And annually, not to exceed the term of the contract. And we will allow our city manager to sort out those agreements. And if he feels uncomfortable, then he will bring it back for a vote.
Right. And that will also be captured in your final motion to consider the entire agreement. So that is the motion. And is that acceptable to make the second?
Do I have a second? Oh, I'd second it.
Is that acceptable to you, Mayor?
So all those in favor?
Not yet. It's
Not
a roll
yet?
call.
Let's take it each one.
Okay.
So
Roll call.
we're the amendment was acceptable to the maker of the motion. The question is whether or not that change to the motion is acceptable to the second, which was you, Mayor. Do you accept that change?
So 5%.
The 5%?
5% or
Yes.
CPI, whichever is lower.
Yes, I will
Yeah.
accept that.
Okay, so now we have a motion and a second. Please, let's do roll call.
Councilmember Bruce,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rios,
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilmember Tremble,
Yes.
Councilmember Maravilla.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now we move on to the second issue, which is the multiple day pickup.
I'll make a motion for the multiple day pickups, but after a negotiated time period and the transitions have been made.
And that negotiation would rest with the city manager.
Yes. It's my motion.
That's a motion.
Are we going to have, within that 90 days, input from the community? Because I know the small streets are going to want it, but we need to hear the other side also. Is it?
So, just so I may add, because this is going to be based on contractual language, so there will be a period of time for implementation of a multiple-day pickup. There will be
Yes.
a requirement for education of the public. There will be a 1-year clause in the contract for reevaluation upon implementation.
There you go.
I'll second it.
Do we have a roll call?
Councilmember Bruce,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rios,
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez.
I'm not completely sold on the whole contract. So what effect, if I say yes on this one, what effect would that have?
If you say yes to this, it would be a component of the overall contract. Then the next motion that will be dealt with is the overall contract. So
And-
you still would have the ability, if you chose to oppose the overall contract, to oppose the overall contract.
Well, I'm not too comfortable with this. I really don't think that's going to work out. I think the main reason, and I heard from other, is there is a money-saving cost by doing it this way. And of course, like I said, I think it's going to be chaos out there on our streets, like having trash cans all day, every day of the week out there. And Like I said, there's going to be probably fights and everything going on. So I don't approve of that.
So that is no.
For me, it's a no.
Okay.
Councilmember Trimble?
I would like to hear input from the community, and if this company's thinking out of the box and it'd be cheaper, I'd say let them do it. But so I agree with the motion that's going in. I'm a yes.
Councilmember Maravilla?
I don't think it's a good idea. So no.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. So now then, it would be appropriate to entertain a motion to approve the agreement.
I'll make the motion to approve the contract with Commercial Waste.
And adopt the resolution.
And adopt that resolution.
That includes the two amendments as discussed, and that the approval of the agreement is in substantially the form as presented, subject to those two amendments, and final terms to be negotiated by the city manager and reviewed and approved by the city attorney, and that if either or any other terms are substantial in the view of the city manager, that agreement would be brought back to the city council.
That's my motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Do we have a roll call on this one, then?
Councilmember Bruce?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rios?
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez?
No.
Councilmember Trimble?
Yes.
Councilmember Maravilla?
I think it's obviously a no for me.
A motion carries 3-2.
That concludes that item.
So we'll go back to public hearings. Item A1.
Honorable Mayor and members of the public, before you leave, just so that it's clear, because of the changes to the contract, trash pickup will be on regular Wednesday next week and Thursday to acclimate folks to the changes in the contract. So they're picking up 2 days in a row. We've negotiated that. Anybody that
So public hearings, item A1, report, or
We have to first open it, don't we? Do we have to first open the hearing?
yes, this first, yeah. Let's conduct public hearing and adopt resolution number 055-2018. Conduct public hearing and adopt resolution, again, 055-2018, to authorize the recording of several liens against various real property in the city of Hawaiian Gardens for delinquent rubbish collection charges for Republic Services Incorporated. This agenda was continued from June the 12th, 2018 meeting. Can we have a report on that?
The municipal code provides a mechanism for the city to collect on delinquent accounts by recording a special assessment against the real estate property served. This is for the trash hauler, gives us a list of the delinquent accounts. We then take this action to place them on the tax rolls as an assessment against the properties. One of the questions that was raised was, why are they putting a lien, the trash company putting a lien where the water company or the sewer wouldn't put that? But the water company will discontinue your service if you don't pay. The trash company has to continue picking up your trash. And so their only method of getting the collection of delinquent accounts is through placing them on the tax rolls. Then people have to pay them as part of their property tax bill. So we have the list attached. There are, I believe, 83 names on that list. Anyone that pays their bill prior to the submission of this to the county will be removed from the list. We will submit the list in the middle of July to the county, and it will then be on their tax rolls for next year.
We had a resident here last meeting who was saying they were billed for an empty lot.
Yes.
And they have a lien on their house because of that empty lot that they don't own.
Well, what happened was there was a letter sent out. The original letters that went out were inaccurate. And what had happened is, and we have a representative here from Republic that can speak to this more fully if you need it. They have two databases that merge in order to put those letters together. And there was a problem with those, and what wound up happening is it was matching up incorrect parcel numbers with addresses. And so when that was identified, the lien process stopped. That's why we didn't bring it to you at the last meeting, because it was recognized that the letters were inaccurate. So we didn't bring that to the council. We postponed the public hearing. They sent out notices to all the people telling them that this was incorrect, that it was an incorrect notice, please disregard that. And then they put together another list where they went through line by line to verify that the addresses and the parcel numbers and the owners all matched up and were accurate. And then that is the list that is being presented to you tonight to be able to be placed on the tax rolls.
So it's not the city, it's the hauler.
It is their software that puts together that list and sends out those letters,
Thank
yes.
My concern that is that there wasn't only one household that there was a mistake, and the person already left, so we can't clarify to them right now, but I'm sure that our staff already informed them, right, that everything's been cleared.
So myself and our staff met with individuals, and there was quite a bit of them.
Yeah.
There was some kind of computer error, and so that's why we delayed the item until everything was squared away, and at least to the best of our knowledge, we addressed every single incident of where there was a discrepancy. So.
Right, and I appreciate those residents that spoke up because it was resolved. However, I'm concerned with all the other residents that are on the list to make sure that they've been reached out and that they know that this is going to happen to their homes.
Yeah, I believe there's over 10, right?
it's more than
or
that.
more, or 20. What was the number? What was that?
10 or 20, what? I'm not sure what
The
you're asking.
discrepancies.
The people that got the
there
wrong
were-
letters.
Oh, no, there were more than that
Oh.
discrepancies. There were probably, a large number of
Staff
discrepancies.
did me a favor. I only met with 3. So, but
Basically,
but they did reach out to. I mean, and then they
All
also
of them.
compared the final list with the old
Yeah.
list, and we didn't receive any notifications of any more errors in between the meetings. So we felt comfortable in bringing the public hearing forward to the city council.
and one thing that we did do is all of those people who contacted us, and there were quite a number, as the city manager mentioned, all of those, we had their letters, we had their names, we had their information, and we then looked at the new list that was sent to us and verified that those names were not on there, or if they were on there, and I actually myself didn't see any that were, but if they were, verifying that the parcel number and the address were correct, because one of the issues was they had an address and the parcel number was not correct. So we made sure that none of those appeared on the new list and that all of those were corrected. And as I said, the Consolidated Republic went through the list line by line manually to verify that information this time.
And these people have received notice that they're going to have a lien on their homes if they don't pay?
Yes, letters were sent out.
How many times?
You just send one letter. It has to be sent out 10 days before the hearing. That letter was sent out.
And there's been no response from those individuals this time?
We have not had any calls on any of those.
This happens every year. I guess some of the residents may be renters. So, because I guess our city requires that they pick up the trash whether they pay for it or not.
That's actually in accordance with state law. It's a health and safety issue. So no matter what, we have to pick
So
up
they have
trash.
to pick it up. And I think some of these residents think, well, hey, they're picking up my trash. I haven't paid for it. Maybe they forgot about me, but they're still picking up the trash. But they don't realize at the end of the year or during tax time, that is added to their taxes. There's no way they can get away from it. And I look at this list, and I see repeat offenders in there every year, the same people. I don't know if they realize that they're being charged on their tax, on their liens. So, but I guess that's the way it is. And do I have a motion to accept? Oh, okay. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, so at this time we will open and conduct public hearing and adopt resolution number 055-2016. So do we have anybody in the audience that would like to comment on this hearing? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and do you have to? And then we have okay. Do I have a motion to receive or approve this resolution number 055-2018?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Now, do you have to disclose anything on this? No? So we go to the consent calendar. Items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, the item may be removed from the consent calendar and will consider separately.
I motion to go forward with the consent calendar in its entirety.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we go back to the discussion items. Let's see.
So,
Item D2.
Honorable Mayor and members of City Council, if I may, I can just speak to items D2, D3, and D4. They're all related, and they're all in accordance with direction I got from this City Council with regards to the appointment of a city official at our last regular meeting. So just briefly, these are all agreements for engineering services and or building services. So as staff report provides, infrastructure engineering has been awarded a contract of 3 years to provide staff engineering. Additionally, the scope of services includes some building services in the event that staff needs building services. The agreement with Wildan Engineering is in place, and it's also a 3-year agreement to provide professional engineering services for project engineering. So staff repairs, projects for, in addition to city engineering work, prepares the projects to go out to bid, and then the new engineer takes over with a variety of functions related to that. The final agreement before you is an agreement with Transtech Engineering to continue the city's relationship in the building section of the Community Development Department. Additionally, it provides scope of services for engineering services in the event staff needs additional engineering services. Myself or Joe can answer any questions related to any one of these agreements, but I did want to present as they're all related to all of the services provided in the Community Development Department.
Mr. Manager, Mr. Mayor, from my understanding, we were going to move forward with 2 companies, but there's 3 here. But we can deal with 3 and 4 in a little while. I just want to make a motion for 2 to move forward with infrastructure engineering as our staffing contractors.
So we can modify the resolution to specifically state staffing.
Okay.
But that was the intent of the staff report and the agreement. But we can amend it in that way if the city council wishes.
So are we going to vote on the item 2, 3, and 4?
Well, after the first one.
We're
Because,
gonna do it once at a
because
time.
we were supposed to only have 2 companies, but there's 3 here. But we all agreed on the first one. So let's take care of that one, and then we'll deal with the other 2. So
Okay.
I motioned for infrastructure to be staffing.
This is adopt resolution number 060-2018, approving a professional services agreement for engineering services for a term of July the 1st, 2018 to June the 30th, 21, with infrastructure engineers. Do I have a motion? You have
I
a
motion.
Do you have a second? Do I hear?
To make it more specific.
Do I have a second on item number 2?
Sure, have a second.
Approving the infrastructure? Oh?
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I'll second.
Okay.
thank you.
Like, I don't know why this-
So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I'm going to abstain on this one.
Okay. Item number 3, adopt resolution number 061-2018, approving a professional services agreement for engineering services for a term of of July the 1st to June the 30th, 2021 with Wilden Engineering. Do I
Motion.
do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 4, resolution number 059, 2018. Approving a second amendment to an existing contract for building and safety professional services agreement with Transtech Engineering Incorporation.
Okay, I'd like to have discussion.
We need a motion first. One motion.
Do we need a motion? Do we have a motion
To adopt.
to adopt item 59, 2018?
Do we discuss first, Mr. Attorney?
There's a motion, a second, then the issue is up for discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
If it's not there, we don't discuss.
Do I have a motion?
He motioned, I second.
Okay, so motion carries?
No.
We need a discussion item, discussion, man. Okay, let's
Oh.
discuss it.
Yes, let's discuss it, because my clear understanding, in our closed session, we were going with 2 companies.
I'm not sure if we can speak on what's in closed session. However, in our discussion, I believe, and I'm always also confused as to why we're doing so many resolutions on this one. But as I understand, one of our companies resigned. Is that correct, Mr.
Correct.
Hernandez?
So we currently provide, so we already have a contract with Transtech Engineering, okay? But it's, they have not provided service here in whole, at least, for a period of time. CSG Consulting, is that the name of the group, has been providing services in building. This is what this contract's for in most part. They have communicated to staff, and I provided the city council the communications, that they're withdrawing their services from the city in very short order, in a very unprofessional manner, in my opinion. So they've chosen to do that. We cannot stop that, but they've chosen to do that. So we met with Infrastructure Engineering, Transtech Engineering, who we in the past used for building services, to essentially amend their contract to include the new scope of services and the new fees that are current to provide those services. There's an additional component in here for engineering services in the scope of services that they provided in the event that we need them to assist with project engineering or any other project. But essentially, they're on board. They had an old contract. We're amending the new contract and expanding the scope of services.
Now, is Transtech an agreement? Or, I mean, I'm also open to just tabling the item if we need to do more research on it. But I know that the staff development, the development department is having a hard time at the moment with staffing. So I don't want to, add more to your difficulties. Do we need to address that tonight, or can we postpone and get more information?
Actually, I would recommend that you do take action on the Transtech agreement as the CSG contract. They are pulling out their staff on May 29th, so we've already met with the Transtech management team to try to execute the type of transition plan so we can get them on board. So for purposes of building and safety, I do recommend that you adopt the amendment to their contract.
Well, you have my full support because they've done an excellent job in the past and they have a good track record with our city. And I'm also aware that you enjoy working with them, so that's important to me.
Well, I had a question for
We have
Mr.
representatives of Transtech here if you want to ask them questions too.
Okay, but Joe, how do we go from 2 companies to 3 companies, and then you told
I was
me-
not in closed session, so I don't know.
No, but you went to my office and spoke.
Yes, I spoke to you regarding engineering,
Saying,
though.
tell this other company that we'll give him this, that we'll only have 2 companies.
No, sir.
You-
I spoke to you specifically about the engineering issue, not building and safety.
And Mr. Mayor, let me indicate, it's a policy decision by the council.
Yeah.
So do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 059, 2018? Have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. All right, so now we're going to, council action. We have a Committee reports. Seeing none, we'll go to new business. Oral staff reports. Oral council reports.
I have a council report. I wanted to let everyone know that the Clean Power Alliance of Southern California, which will be taking over all of our electricity in Hawaiian Gardens and 29 other cities, LA County and Ventura County, it has officially launched in unincorporated LA County, South Pasadena, and Rolling Hills estates, I believe. So it's launched successfully. I'm very pleased to let everyone know. I attended a retreat last week in which we were talking about rate setting for future electricity costs here in the city of Hawaiian Gardens and across this region. And we will be implementing this with 3 million customers, a combination of private industry, businesses, and residential. So we're looking to set rates in the coming months, and that will be launching in Hawaiian Gardens next year. So we'll be implementing an outreach program in which all residents will be able to decide whether they want to stick with the 36% renewable green energy, 50% or 100%. Our city has already pre-selected 50%, but residents and businesses can go up or down with green energy. Or they can also opt out and decide to stay with Edison, which might be more costly. So I just want to say congratulations to CPA. We've all been working really hard as a director on that board to implement this for this region. So congratulations to Hawaiian Gardens. We're on the map. We're going to be on the map pretty soon. And we're very innovative for having been a part of it. And it's all really thanks to our city manager who brought this to our forefront. I know that we had a quick little meeting about this, actually at the Teen Center when we had a special meeting. And all of us were like, we don't really know what you're talking about, but if you think it's a good idea, we'll go with it. And now it's turning out to be excellent. So it's going to look really good for all of Hawaiian Gardens. So that's all I wanted to say. Share good news.
I'd like to mention that I attended the Rugby dinner last night. Right? Everything seems to roll away. And just those kids are just doing amazing things and representing the city of Hawaiian Gardens well. So thank you for Ernie Vargas. We have Ernie Hernandez, but he's Ernie Vargas. That is just being an amazing coach to them. And the dinner and the speakers that were there are just amazing. And just if you're a coach in our community, you're influencing young lives. And it's just amazing how our kids are excelling, proving what's right in Hawaiian Gardens. I know Jesus Mendoza brought up in terms of focusing on what's positive in our community, and I think that is it. I also attended the Going to College dinner for Artesia High School and the Scholarships Award. Unfortunately, I missed the graduation. Congratulations to all the graduates. Good luck in your future. I know many of you, if not all of you, are going to college or pursuing something good in your life, whether it's going to be, I know they have an amazing pharmaceutical program too that they highlight at the scholarship place where you're actually from Artesia High School, you're guaranteed a job, which is amazing. So congratulations to all of you. It's just, I'm very proud of you because I know I was influenced growing up, and you're just doing an amazing things in our city. So thank you for that, young people. Good luck.
I have something to report. I went to a 2-day conference, and the state's getting very serious with us building new homes. I said or apartments or townhomes, and I told them we have no room. They said, do you have a library? I said, yes, we do. They said, build on top of your library. Do what Long Beach is doing. They're building on top of everything because there's no room here, but there's room up there, and they're going to start getting very serious on having us build more homes, apartments, townhomes, things of that nature. And you think we have a car problem now, the state's going to mandatory it for us. So we got to come up with some good ideas. That's all I have to report.
Okay. All right. So now we do have a closed session.
It's a request of Councilmember Trimble, so it's at your discretion, sir, if you want that closed session tonight or
I would rather not have it tonight because it's concerning what I was speaking on, and it's going to be a lengthy thing. And
So
it's not pressing where we have to make a quick decision. So it'd be wiser just to do it when we're all fresh.
So, Mr. Mayor, then this item will be held over to a future meeting.
Thank you, sir.
So at this time, we will adjourn to a regular city council meeting to be held on Tuesday, July the 10th, 2018 at 6 p.m.